What's up, everybody? Welcome to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix, the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and speedrun our way through popular or influential games released in a particular year. I am your host, Smooth Operative. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we are taking a look at two amazing and amazingly different games that were released in the year 2012, starting with Borderlands 2 and later the game Journey. But before we begin, I'd just like to remind everyone that SGDQ 2022 on-site volunteer applications are open from now until April 20th. So if you are interested in becoming, let's say, a camera operator volunteer or one of our other volunteer positions that are almost as fun, you can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. But the time has come for Time Capsule, so I'm excited to get into it. Today we have speedrunner Unjust Action as well as commentator ZZ Rules 21. Welcome, both of you. Unjust, you want to start off introductions?
Sure, yeah. So, hello everyone, I am Unjust Action, and welcome to Borderlands 2. Like Tippy said, I'm joined with ZZ.
Hey.
A few things to note before we get into the run. We're running any percent with DLC, so basically, the only DLC in the run is just my character and the 3 weapons you'll see at the start of the game. That's the only DLC, otherwise it's just typical 90%. Another thing is we are running on patch 1.1.0, so that just gives us access to a whole bunch of glitches which we don't have on current patch. And with that out of the way, I think we're good to go. So I'll do a countdown and we can get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. So this game just starts with a 50-second-ish long cutscene where Claptrap just talks to you. It's your first little buddy here. So one of the things to note is I'm playing Gage. Gage is the fastest character for a new game in this game. She has just a few skills that are specific to her character, and that just allows her to take advantage of a few glitches, which we'll get into later on in the run.
Claptrap, your metaphorical ship has finally come in. Allow me to introduce myself. I am a
So the reason behind the distinction between with DLC and without DLC is since Gage is a DLC character, if you just got the base game, you technically wouldn't have access to the fastest character. So your fastest character there would be 0. But since we have access to DLC, he'll be running as Gage today.
Yeah, and the DLC distinction was mostly made in the early days of this game when not everyone had the DLC, and it was a huge distinction between the two categories, and so just wanted to make a category so people didn't have to buy DLC to run the game. But now you can't even get the game without the DLC, so I don't know if it matters too much anymore.
That's nice to know.
Yeah. So at the start here, I'm just going to run ahead of Claptrap, just keep moving forward while the dialogue plays. And then I'm going to loot up a little bit, and then I'm going to go enter my inventory. After the dialogue plays here, I'm just going to be turning off my badass rank. That's just a rank that gives you, you get tokens when you play through the game, and it applies to every character, even new ones. So using that would be a form of New Game Plus, and this is a New Game run, so we don't use that. And then I'm just going to put on this sniper here. We use a specific save file to have the sniper be the perfect parts on it. And that just saves a bit of time throughout the early game. There's quite a bit of variation with the guns you can get to start here, and that just eliminates it.
Yeah, it's RNG that happens before the run even starts, so just to make a smoother experience.
Yeah, before we used to just reset until you got a good enough sniper. That rule changed a long time ago though.
Sorry about the mess. Everything Jack kills.
So here I'm just going to be looting up and waiting for Claptrap to talk. A lot of dialogue in the early game, but we have a lot of methods for skipping most of it. And ZZ, do you want to explain the death lane here?
Yep, so with the way this map is, there is a save point on the other side of the wall that's right next to Unjust Action.
That's bad.
You'll be fine.
What? I have to reset now, don't I? I have to reset, yeah.
Yeah, that's no big deal. That's okay.
That's not supposed to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're starting again.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
You know what? It was just polite because some folks might just be getting here. So.
Exactly. Sorry, 1 second.
So what he was trying to set up there, there's a save point on the other side of a wall right next to where he went down.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, can I do the countdown again real quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
So in 3, 2, 1, go.
Now we're started.
Oh, it's
All right, we're starting the run for the first time.
Yes.
So good luck.
Take 1. Thank you.
Take one.
So there's a save point on the other side of the wall. Every character except for Gage is able to shove their hitbox into the wall and activate that save point early. But Gage is too short, so she can't get there. But luckily there was something that was found where if you down yourself and then your body ragdolls after you end up dying, and if it ragdolls into a bit of terrain, it flings out at a really high speed, and that high speed is fast enough to land at a certain spot in the wall that the other characters can hit their hitbox. So it'll hit the save and then can continue. After the cutscene, there's a whole bunch of dialogue by Claptrap and movement and whatever, and if you just save quit to the main menu, then it skips all of that. So that's what he's trying to do right there, and what he'll be doing coming up.
Yeah, again, just staying in front of Claptrap here to keep moving forward.
He has a couple triggers throughout here, but if you just run forward, you hit them all.
Yeah, one thing about with DLC category that makes it a little bit slower in the start is that all the non-DLC characters will spawn with like an echo recorder, which is just like a thing you can play in your backpack, which will just trigger a line of dialogue, and that can skip the line that Claptrap has before the cutscene.
Yeah, so it speeds that section up a little bit, but because they don't have the starting weapons, it's a bit slower in anything past that. Timer usually starts whenever you do gain control of your character, but in a marathon type setting, it's easier just whenever we enter into the game for timing purposes. In live split, we have it automatically detect when you gain control.
So again, just looting up, waiting for the dialogue.
It's only because my programmers made this my default tone of voice. I'm actually quite depressed. Now, the creatures around here are dangerous. None more than this bullymong named Knuckledrag.
So I'm looking at just this crate here because I'll have to interact with it after the cutscene. It's coming up to turn the mission, and then I can go for the death lane. And then we can get on with the run. The early game is a lot of just pushing Claptrap forward and then waiting for an objective, do the objective, push Claptrap forward. This first map is pretty bad for it. The next map is too, but we have ways around that a little bit.
Alright, so here's the death wing coming up.
So I'll just fall off and wedge myself in this corner. Fling, hit the save, and then
So
save.
in the top corner, you can see a blue the Borderlands symbol. That means that you hit a save, and now he's on the other side of the wall, and Claptrap has skipped all of his dialogue and is ready to move forward.
Yeah, typically there's a whole lot more waiting around, and it's just no fun for anyone. So one thing to note throughout the early game here, what I'll be doing is something called drop reloading. So if you drop your gun on the ground and pick it back up again, it will have a full magazine. Because every gun in the ground, on the ground in this game, has a full magazine. So you can just drop it and pick it back up and skip the reload animation. I'll only be doing that throughout the early game though, for reasons we'll get to in a bit.
So another thing that's going to happen early game is what Unjust just did called a double shot, which is effectively an animation cancel. If you do a certain combination of button inputs, you can fire 2 shots back to back really quickly to do a lot of burst damage and kind of get around the fire rate cap.
Yes, typically you have to wait for your gun to, like your bolt every time, but if you shoot, reload, and then melee and shoot at the same time, you can achieve a double shot.
Help to reach Sanctuary, the last bastion of the resistance against.
And then here again, I'm just waiting for Claptrap. So
what he did there as well was he killed this wave early, which doesn't speed up anything. He has to kill the same wave of enemies again, but it gets him a little bit extra XP, which is really, really important for the early game.
I don't think I've ever seen that spawn pattern before. Typically the spawns here are semi-consistent. They usually spawn the same pattern every time, but yeah, this time we got a really weird one.
Vault Hunter looks for the new vault. Vault Hunter gets killed by me.
So right here, I'll be doing the first instance of a glitch called merging. Basically, I'll swap my weapons, and then during the swap animation, I will enter my backpack, and then swap their location in my backpack. So right here, swap my location, and what that does is it takes the implicit weapon properties of the first gun and transfers them onto my character. So I did it with a sniper rifle, which will give me critical hit damage because all snipers in the game have 100% critical hit damage given to them. Jacob snipers have 60% additional crit damage added onto that, so I have 160% crit damage on my character right now, which will make this boss fight go a little bit smoother. And taking advantage of drop reloading and the aim assist feature in the game. Then immediately following the fight, I'll grab Claptrap's eye and the pistol that boss drops, save quit, load back in, and then save quit again. What this will do is it'll push Claptrap up the hill at the end of the map. Typically waiting around there takes about a minute, whereas if you just run back through the map, this takes about 45 seconds. So it saves a little bit of time. And this pistol that drops, the boss will always drop a pistol, but the parts and like the stats on the gun are always randomized. They can have a damage range of anywhere from 17 to 32, and anything below 19 is kind of bad because it will be unable to one-shot enemies in this next fight coming up. So I got a 19 damage, which is just acceptable. Well, not acceptable. Like, you can run with any damage pistol. It's just quality of life.
I'm networked into almost everything on this planet. It's a long way to Sanctuary. Please take whatever you need for the journey ahead.
Let me know when you're ready to go meet with Sir.
And right before we leave here is one of my favorite pieces of RNG. Right before Claptrap moves there, you can actually have a random line of dialogue. Which line he says is random, and whether or not he even says one is random, which is great. Because speedrunners love nothing if they don't love random dialogue. Yeah. Well, what random dialogue wouldn't this time? I guess like TPS sequence skipping, but you know. So again, I did another merge there to get my sniper crit damage onto my pistol to get set up for this next fight here. This next area has a lot of dialogue that you have to wait around for after each objective. So after pretty much every objective in this little town here called Lyersburg, we're going to be save quitting after the objective. That'll just skip a whole bunch of dialogue, and I can just run back, which might seem slow running back each time, but it is a lot quicker than actually waiting for the dialogue to play. And these spawns here are perfectly consistent every time. So I have them memorized, just...
And it's a really good example of using double shotting to get past or get around the fire rate cap of the sniper.
And double shotting is very useful. Probably my favorite glitch in the run, honestly. I guess not like, you know, it might sound weird considering how broken this game is, but you know, it's the little things that matter. Double shotting.
Apologies, but when Claptrap speaks,
and here I'm just running back to this cutscene trigger to meet Hammerlock. And then there'll be one more save quit, and then we can get into the actual, you know, an extended period of time where we won't be save quitting.
I am Sir Hammerlock.
Actually, probably one of the more difficult areas, Southern Shelf.
At your service. I came out here to research the bully moles for my omen. Friends trapped me on this place.
There's just a bit of dialogue you gotta wait for. So I'll be looting up. Right here, I'm gonna kill exactly 2 of these rack to get my XP level to be at a very specific point. So whenever you level up in this game, you gain 100% damage for 30 seconds, and we call this level up bonus. And I want level up bonus for this next little area coming up just to help me get as much XP as possible. There's a boss coming up in a couple minutes, and I want to have level up bonus for that boss as well. So I just want to make sure my XP is at a particular point.
So we leveled up right there, and now you can see he's one-shotting every enemy in that camp, basically. If you paid attention to the damage numbers, I think he started out with 247, and now he's at 497 with his crits. So you can really see the effects of that level up bonus.
Level 3, let's get it.
Yeah, XP is like the XP route in this game is probably the most like significant thing. You need to hit level 8 and level 10 at 2 very particular points, and so a lot of the early game is routed around getting as much XP as possible. And that's actually probably one of the biggest like skill barriers in the run, is just trying to maximize your XP without slowing down to do it.
No, probably not. Bandits will get you first. My day? Been pretty good. Just bought a pony.
So I get my XP to about 4.5 bars into level 3 here
So, you know, that's cool.
to be set up for the boss fight, and then just push Claptrap down the hill.
There's a lot of that in this early game.
Yeah. So I waited at the start of this fight to shoot that guy just until Claptrap's dialogue starts. Otherwise, those enemies won't count to the actual fight I need. And then again, more pushing Claptrap and waiting and fun stuff.
But while he's doing that, he's going to set himself up for I guess, an out-of-bounds that he's going to be doing after this next upcoming fight.
Yeah, it's technically an out of bounds. So I'm going to stand up here and then wait for the dialogue to end to start this fight. Nice.
And Unjustice made that look really easy, because that is a difficult fight to do, because you just have a really awkward angle. So what he just did there was a grenade jump to get into this next boss arena. Every unmodded grenade gives you a little boost whenever you get hit by it, so we use that constantly throughout the run to get into places we very much not.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, there's a lot that just happened.
Yes.
So I did a grenade jump to get into the arena, then hit Claptrap's trigger on the opposite side of the arena, and that'll just skip an animation. And then using the level up bonus, I was able to basically get through the first phase of that boss before the cutscene starts, because there's like a short window of time where you can damage the boss before the cutscene. So I actually skipped a cycle, technically, kind of. It only takes about 2 seconds, but yeah.
And then what I did there is he picked up Grenade Mod, which triggered Claptrap's tutorial dialogue. Because it's Claptrap, Claptrap has insanely high priority. And while that tutorial dialogue was playing, it skipped all other story dialogue that happened underneath it, which we're going to use to a much greater extent throughout the rest of the run. But doing that meant that we could shoot the cannon much earlier than we normally should be able to.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue in this game that you typically have to listen to in a casual playthrough. We have a lot of methods of dialogue skipping this run, so we basically are never waiting around for dialogue outside of the early game, where we are a little bit more restricted with our dialogue skips.
Can I ask a little bit about like the hitboxes for the grenades? Like, is it tricky to get the boost off of it, or is it like fairly wide range?
It's a pretty wide range.
Okay, cool.
But just trying to get optimally, it's a bit more tricky.
Oh, like to go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some
gotcha.
runs where, or some jumps, grenade jumps, where you need to get a certain amount of height, so timing your jump is very important.
Cool.
Yep, so we just did another one to just more take a more direct route to this next trigger instead of going the long way around, just taking a straight line. It's really weird terrain that he was in. Oh, is that a badass?
Nope.
So every enemy has a chance to spawn as a badass enemy, which has increased health, increased damage, but it also gives you increased XP. So badasses are good at times and bad at times, and you got a badass right there. So a couple more fights to push Claptrap through. He's using some of the elemental barrels around when they're convenient, just to do some wide AoE damage to the enemies.
Yeah, and I got 2 fire barrels there, which is perfect, actually. So now I'm doing a little bit of, it's called chain skip, this jump, because you jump on a chain. Typically you have to run all through this area, and it's a lot longer. We use this jump to get up here before Claptrap, its dialogue finishes. It also gives us a bit of time just to clear up the spawns and get a bit more XP.
So this is the point where the XP gathering is really important. and you can save a good chunk of time later on in the run just by being really good at sniping, hitting your shots, and having a good route at collecting XP.
So, up right here is a boss called Flint. I did a little jump through a window, which you're not supposed to be able to get through, to get into this arena early. Basically, this will just allow me to get up close and personal with Flint at the start of the fight. He's actually like a quite annoying boss in both speedruns and in casual. He's got a lot of health. He's immune to fire, and fire is the only element you have access to at this point in the game.
Consistently, at least.
Oh, I get it, yeah, fair enough. So basically, I just get into the arena early, so I can run up close and crit him really easily with my sniper. I merged my pistol onto my sniper there, because Jacob's pistols also have a bit of crit damage onto them. So that'll just give me a little bit more damage. I'm not actually going to kill this boss immediately. I'm going to go for a trick called Fliminip. Pretty finicky. We'll get it. Nice.
Nice. So what just happened there, at the end, after you kill Flint, there's this whole wave of enemies that spawn that you have to kill to progress the story. At the end of killing that, Claptrap has a trigger that he just said the dialogue line, all right, let's get to my ship. One of the suicide psychos hit that trigger for Claptrap, so Claptrap started moving immediately. It saves a significant amount of time if you're able to get it, so. It's really finicky trying to get an enemy to move into a certain spot, but I just did a really good job of it.
Yeah, it's kind of RNG dependent and not perfectly consistent.
Is that another badass?
That is, yeah. I want a badass seat in it. So that's Southern Shelf. That's really annoying area to do. Really heavy reset point, especially considering how early on it is. But glad we got through that pretty smoothly.
Yeah, so we talked about the XP route earlier. We need to hit level 8 at a very specific point. The fastest way to do this right now is to re-kill Boom and Boom, who we killed earlier. They give a lot of XP. So Ados is going to do a couple of kills to make up that XP. After Flint, we spawn much closer to them. So he's able to just run directly there and get to them really, really quickly.
Bad. Five grenades, probably, right? So yeah, just do 2 kills. We need to hit level 8 again, like Easy said. So Boom and Boom are like one of the only really good places for XP at this point in the run, and they give like a lot, like far more than like they should. I think I'm just gonna summon Death Trap here as well to get a few more kills as well.
Yeah, a general theme in the series is Gearbox wants you to do side quests to stay on level, but side quests are pretty slow, and usually just killing a boss over and over gets you the XP you need and is much faster. So there you get another example of how strong that level up bonus is.
Yeah, with the level up bonus there, I'm able to one-shot Big Boom. And right before I entered back into the game, I rebound to have interact be on my mouse wheel down. That is used to do a glitch, which we'll get to in a little bit. So right here, there's a little dialogue skip that I found, and it is the only contribution to this run I've made.
That's not true.
So, well, to this run, yeah. So basically, you just wait for this dialogue to play, jump and interact with the vendor to proc its dialogue without entering it, and then you just hit the catch ride twice. And that skips a line of dialogue that would otherwise play after hitting the catch ride. So typically I'd have to wait to grab this Hyperion Adapter here, but I can just run up and grab it immediately. It takes about 5 or 6 seconds. One downside it has though is it makes gathering XP a little bit awkward throughout this area, but it's not too bad to compensate for.
Executing phase shift.
So it's interesting to note about him rebinding his interact key. A lot of people think that this is where we do it for, but it's not. It just sounds really funny. We don't actually do it for this specific part. We do it a little bit later. So he uses the vendor dialogue to skip more in-world dialogue. We call it Pimento Taco Skip because it skips Scooter's line about there being a pimento taco. And then he's going for, if you can get really good driving in this area, then you can get another dialogue skip coming up. That's really difficult to get, so we'll see.
This is,
how his driving is.
yeah, this is the single most difficult time save in the run. We call it dignity skip because you use a line that says dignity to skip a line.
Very creative.
Oh,
games.
I missed it. I didn't get my warp. But typically, the skip is you just hit this button before that line there, that Jack says dignity. You have to warp out of your car to do it. And to warp out of your car, you just have to make sure that your wheels are on level. So like your forward wheels have to be higher than your back wheels. Or your left have to be higher than your right or whatever. I missed it there, unfortunately. It only saves about 10 seconds, so it's not too big, but
My men tell me Corporal Reese hasn't returned the power core that we need to keep the city shields running. Bring Reese back to Sanctuary. I'm running your place and the Raiders. Got the power core from the blood!
Roland's contact.
I just have to drive to this point and pick up the echo that only spawns after the dialogue.
Yeah, we're at a part where there's a lot of go here, do this, go here, do this.
Right there, I got the car warp because my vertical wheels were a lot higher up, or my forward wheels were a lot more higher than my back wheels.
Perhaps it would be a good time. Maybe we can inquire about how you got started playing Borderlands 2 and speedrunning it.
After he does this fight.
Yeah, I got bad RNG here, sorry.
We have this belief in the community that certain seeds in the game just give you a ton of badass enemies at the worst possible times. And this is a time where you really do not want to get a badass.
That was the worst that has ever gone. So right there is why I rebound to scroll interact. In some instances in this game, you can talk to characters twice on the same frame, only if they have 2 lines of dialogue that would play one after the other. And that skips the second line. This is only useful in very few spots, but right there it's a little useful. Saves like 5 or 6 seconds or something. But yeah, sorry, going back to your point, Tippy, about how we got started. I got started with this run a long time ago. I watched Admiral Baru did a whole bunch of runs back in like 2014 in that time. And so I just kind of learned the run from that, but I never picked it up until around 2017. I don't know, what about you, ZZ?
I first saw it from the 2017 AGDQ 2P run from Shockwave and Amerlin. It was the first I saw it, and the glitch coming up at level 10 is, that alone was mind-blowing to me and really fun. So I downloaded the version of the game just to do that. And not even to like run the game or anything, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I have it downloaded, might as well run the run.
So it's safe to say that you're both fans of the series anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I bought the game about 9 months after it came out, I think.
So cool.
And it's been my favorite game ever since.
Aw, well thanks for sharing.
All right.
So I'll just capped his frame rate to 30 FPS there. Not because he doesn't like high frame rates and wants to hurt his eyes. Certain NPCs just move faster on lower frame rates. It can be used in a ton of places throughout the run for minimal time saves, but right there, private desktop can just take ages to move if you're on super high frame rates. So
yeah, he can either move instantly or take like 10 seconds if he decides to. So just capping it to FPS makes it a bit more consistent.
So here we have another instance of scroll interacting, wasting the same frame to skip a whole line of dialogue. This alone saves like 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah, this is the single biggest instance of scroll interact. Typically, you have to wait for this line of dialogue to play before you grab all these mission items, but they spawn during the line of dialogue, thankfully. And now we can get off the wretched 30 FPS. And I just save quit right there because the fast travel in this map has a very big hitbox. So we actually hit it even though we're nowhere near it. So I can save quit, which will put me in the center of the map. Also skipping some dialogue while we do it.
Don't worry. Nobody's gonna turn you in. You're our only hope of stopping.
One thing to note there is I uncapped my FPS to 120 rather than unlimited. This game doesn't really work well at high FPS. You go above 120, the terrain starts to break, and you can kind of just get pushed back by low terrain, or when you're driving, your car can just get flung into the air. So we just play at 120 to avoid all that shenanigans.
And in co-op, the off-host player's experience can be really, really poor at super high frame rates. So in 3P runs, Unjust actually has to cap to 72 instead of 120. Because with 3 players in the game, it just doesn't track things properly and things just don't spawn. It's a little annoying.
Hey, soldier. If you're hearing this,
And again, we're just
I'm in trouble.
doing the main quest.
Right now,
Go
you're the
here,
only thing
do
standing
the
between
objective.
this
Oop.
city.
Those guns aren't real. No one saw those. Ignore those. We'll get to those later. So again, just do the quest, save quit, and now we can go do more fun stuff. So coming up is Frostburn Canyon. This is the area where we need to be level 8, which is the whole reason we got those 2 extra boom boom kills. And I'm just below 8, so this is perfect. I'm going to do a little slight optimization here that no one else does anymore. Typically, you have to go across the bridge in front of me right now, but you can also just drive up this cliff. This saves like half a second and can actually kill your run if you mess it up. Well, not kill your run, but like you lose like 25 some seconds if you fall in a weird spot. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for going for it, but time save is time save, you know?
That looks cool.
It looks cool, exactly. You can actually do a thing where like your car just like soars right where you need it to do if you hit the collision rate. It's kind of funny.
Stay alert. That's weird. The bloodshot bandit seems to be a
So,
Hawk's lair.
we talked about drop reloading earlier
Probably left
in the run.
enemies
I will not be drop reloading at this point because I have merges active right now. So a merge will go away if you re-equip that. Is that a blue king? That's okay. I can't. I have level up bonus, right?
Yeah, you should at least.
That's not the guy. Cool. So that's a really rare spawn that gives a whole bunch of XP. You see those like once in a blue moon. So that was really lucky. But yeah, getting back to the point about drop reloading. If you ever re-equip the gun you merged, like have it act in your hands, the game will realize that you're not supposed to have the effects on your character, and so it'll fix the merge. So I just don't drop reload to avoid that. And one thing you saw me do right there is I actually unequipped a gun and put it in my backpack and then re-equipped it. That's inventory reloading. It achieves the same thing as a drop reload, but preserves my merges.
Same effect happens. Every gun in your backpack has a full clip. So if you equip something from your backpack, it automatically instantly refills it. So just open your inventory, enter. I think is how many? 4 enters? Enter presses?
4 enter presses, yeah.
And you can instantly reload your gun instead of having to wait for the reload animation.
You think the Firehawks got rolling, huh?
And this area is just a whole bunch. There's just 7 objectives along the path here throughout the map that you have to run and grab. I did a little detour from those objectives to grab this gun here, the Lasso. This is one of the best SMGs in the game, and it's just in a puddle on the ground every time. So that's nifty. So I just take a little detour, and as you can see, it's quite a good gun, and it comes at like the perfect time for us for the speedrun. We're at the point where like the guns we kind of just had aren't very good, and they're kind of falling off a bit, and this just gets us to the next little bit of the game.
And it's part of the reason why we wanted to hit level 8 at this specific time, so we could, once we get to the Lisco, we can just pick it up and use it right away.
Yeah, it makes it very good for maximizing getting XP throughout this area. Got dog grip too, so that's nice.
Firehawk's hideout. Be careful, friend. There are bound to be traps everywhere.
So this is another another exercise in just trying to kill as many things as you can for XP, while also not slowing down to do so. There are a couple badasses that are guaranteed spawns that Unjust stopped and killed throughout the way, and that really help with the XP gathering. But just trying to kill as many of the base enemies as possible as well. Really differentiates some higher level runners.
Here I'm going to make a quick little pit stop to grab ammo and clear up my backpack. I do need to buy some guns at level 10. So I'm going to be trying to pick up as many items throughout the game as possible, selling them for money. And then right there I also bought just a new shield. make sure I don't die instantly to everything. And now we meet the Firehawk. So this is Lilith. She's a playable character from Borderlands 1. And this is the first time you meet one of the playable characters in that game. So, like, she's called the Firehawk up until this point to, like, keep it a mystery, and it's, like, a big reveal for returning players.
We heard from Roland, but this is the first one we physically meet.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story.
And right here, I'm actually going to be using my Xbox 360 controller, which I have plugged in, to revive Lilith. This is one of the newest strats that was incorporated. I have interact on mouse wheel down, and you need to hold interact to revive people, and you can't hold a mouse wheel. So we plug in a controller to avoid having to rebind there.
Yeah, that's the stuff. Give it here.
It's actually found by someone who doesn't run this game by End of My Merch.
And then that's another example of the scroll interacting to skip a whole bunch of dialogue. This is the one area that takes the most time from doing that. Because there's two instances of doing it before and after the fight.
You need to save around 20 seconds or so.
Yeah.
I'm going to be shooting the floor a little bit in this area. You may think that's counterintuitive, but one of the reasons we pick Gage is because she has a skill called Close Enough, but basically means whenever my bullets hit a surface as opposed to an enemy, they will have a 50% chance to ricochet towards an enemy. So it's effectively an aimbot. It's not very useful because they do reduce damage, but later on it'll be a lot more useful. It's a gun.
Of course, that's a run. Oh yeah, a gun.
It's Hyperion Jacobs though.
Of course it is.
So right there I got a Jacobs shotgun. One of the guns we need at level 10 is a Jacobs shotgun. So it's kind of lucky that I got one right now. So I don't have to farm for one later.
Miss me. Nice shot.
Oh, one more.
Hell yeah! How you doing over there?
Watch out, badass psychos!
Is that a cannon you picked up too?
No idea. I don't think so.
Oh.
That'd be really nice.
Yeah.
Chance against us.
So that's the end of the Firehawk fight here. Do a little grenade jump. And then
Yeah, that's the stuff.
scroll interact on
here.
Lilith again. And then we can save quit immediately. And then I'm going to unbind off scroll interact just for a little bit here. You don't have to, but I just like it as personal preference. We'll need a scroll interact for one other point in the run, and then after that we don't need it anymore.
After that, our scroll wheel has a much more important use.
Yeah, there's bigger and better things to attend to. Having just a hyper scroll wheel mouse is very, very useful when you run this game.
Can you elaborate a little?
So one thing is the mouse wheel down strat for scroll interact right there. Having hyper scroll wheel makes it like perfectly consistent. You just turn on the hyper scroll wheel and then flick it quite a bit. And then coming up in a bit, one of the glitches we do utilizes that quite heavily.
We'll see when we get there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
And then the other use in co-op speedruns, you need actually two. You need one hyperscroll mouse and then just a separate mouse to scroll as well to do a big damage glitch. That makes co-op run one of the reasons why co-op runs are so fast. So Unjust was able to hit this cutscene for Ellie, introducing her, but luckily there's a save station right next to her, so you can just skip through the cutscene and skip the cutscene and spawn right next to her.
And then we talk to her again, and then save quit to skip her dialogue. And then now we just have to destroy 5 bandit cars and grab like salvage parts from the wreckage. We need to basically build our own bandit car to infiltrate the Bloodshot stronghold and rescue our pal Ronald. Or Roland. Right. We call him Ronald as a joke, and I just call him Ronald so much I slips in
Forget
my
that his actual name is Roland.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer, chat, no, you won't be seeing Roland, you'll be seeing Ronald.
Exactly. Yes. So these cars, basically during this mission, they're scripted to drive away from you, which is great because just, you're trying to get parts for them and they're just running as far away from possible as they can. Sometimes they can have really good pathing and go in like the direction you need to go, but other times they just drive in the exact opposite direction, and it's really annoying.
The cars spawn in set locations, so whenever we do the save quit to skip the dialogue, it actually also has the added effect of putting the cars in a very specific location for their spawns. But the last one has a whole lot of time to just drive around, so part of the challenge is trying to track down where that last car is.
And then after I grab the parts, I save quit, get back to Ellie quicker. I rebound to Squanner Rack there as well for the upcoming area, and merge all my weapons to get my maximum crit damage back. Because we have a boss coming up called Batmaw, and he's a boss. He's one of the most infamous points in any percent. He can either go perfectly well and it's fine, or he can completely ruin your whole run depending on how he's feeling.
Yeah, we're starting to get to a point where we're just splitting the main story, so we're going to start to get under-leveled, and enemies that are too high a level have a damage reduction applied to them. So we're using weaker guns to begin with, and on top of that there's some damage reduction. So Batmaw is definitely a really tricky boss in the speedrun sense.
Oh, I hit the cutscene trigger there, and then I kind of ran away from where Batman spawns. That's just to get a little bit more XP, and I'll get teleported to a set location after the cutscene anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much where I am before. So summon Death Trap here to try and pull aggro from Batman, which went really well. Cool. Okay, that's about as good as Batman can go, aside from one clipping him. Yeah, it can go a lot worse than that, so I'm bad.
No, that skip right there is one of the funniest that we found.
Yeah, so there's a wheel to lower the drawbridge, and if you just spin it faster, it goes down faster. That's one of the reason I'm on Scrolling Rack right now. And it's one of the funnier things we found.
Yeah, normally you just press E to interact with it, but if you just keep interacting, it keeps spinning. It's really funny. Really funny to watch off as too.
Yeah, the bridge just in 2 or 3 frames just falls down immediately. It's really funny.
So at this point, we need to hit level 10 before we can progress in the run. We cannot continue unless level 10 because we need certain weapons that are level 10. So to do that, we're going to farm a boss. So we're going to kill Batman a couple times. The setup that Unjust did right there is very particular, so that grenade that he threw knocks him off the edge, and you still get the experience for it. It's a super fast way to farm a boss that's...
I dropped my sniper.
That's fine.
I'll just go grab it real quick.
Okay. Kind of important. So just a quick way that we can kill a boss that's much higher level than us. We can do this for the story as well, but he drops the key that we have to pick up to lower the drawbridge, so it's a little bit less optimal. You can still get around it, but it's just faster to kill him manually with bullets for the story kill at least.
Yeah, for the story kill it is because you have your weapons merged at that point, so you have your additional crit damage. And when you save quit, it gets rid of your merges, so it would lose more time to get all your merges in. So now I travel back to Sanctuary. I already have a Jacob shotgun, so I will be just looking for a Vladoff rocket launcher. First try, let's go.
Typical Borderlands marathon rock. Look, so yeah. We needed a Vladoff rocket launcher for the big infamous Borderlands glitch in the run, which is infinite ammo. Vladoff rocket launchers have an inherent property that they consume reduced ammo. The way this is coded is a -1 ammo consumption. If you get to that -1 shot and just swap away and back and forth again, it stacks that -1 onto your character, -1, -2, -3, -4, however many times you swap away. So by doing that with a coach gun that consumes 2 ammo, now you can just fire it over and over and over again and it won't consume any ammo. It's not another badass.
Yeah. That scared me a little bit.
So with this infinite ammo, Jacob's shotguns have a property where they fire as fast as you pull the trigger. So if we bind scroll to shoot to scroll wheel with a hyperscroll mouse, this fires very, 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 very quickly, which results in just a rapid fire shotgun. And then coming up here, this out of bounds that Undus is doing is to skip pretty much this entire area. This is a really difficult jump. Probably one of the more difficult ones in the run, so we'll see if he's able to get it.
Oh my god, that was so close. I jumped a little early there.
Yeah. So this area is really interesting in that it only has 2 triggers, one at the very start of the map and one at the very end of the map. So this out of bounds that he was doing was going to skip him to the very, very end of the map, actually behind where he's supposed to be. But it's one of the difficult tricks in the game that usually you don't go for unless you're going for a top 5 time. But it's fine. There's a backup that we can do to get back in bounds. Still at the end of the map, just a little bit further back than the skip would have been. So this is a part of a run where everything just happens really, really fast, back to back to back to back. So this is a different version of the skip. What he attempted before was called super skip, because it skips you to the very end of the map and uses a double grenade jump to boost yourself twice with a very specific setup. This one is just the regular bow shot skip, so it's still skipping a good majority of the map. And actually, there's a boss in the middle of it that's, at least the first time I played casually, was really difficult.
Yeah, he always spawns with a rocket launcher, so it's a bit of a hard fight.
But instead, we can just skip right to the very end. So, while all this is happening, part of the reason with Gage specifically is the skill that Unjust talked about before, where your shots have a chance to ricochet into an enemy at the cost of reduced ammo. Is kind of detrimental with the reduced ammo cost, but whenever you're firing as many bullets as we're firing at a time, that doesn't really matter. So you can just shoot the floor as Gage with the shotgun and clear an entire room. So we're going to be abusing that for the rest of the run.
Gage also has a skill called Anarchy, which is the first skill I spec'd into. Basically, it's at the bottom of my, or right above my XP bar there. I have 11 stacks. Every time I get a kill, basically, I'll gain a stack. And for every stack, I just have 1.75% damage at the cost of 1.75% accuracy. So combining that with the close enough skill is really useful. Considering my accuracy's bad, so just shoot the floor.
Shoot the floor for more damage and to make up for the accuracy. It's part of what makes this run really, really fun. This is the glitch that I was talking about earlier. Just infinite ammo Jacob shotguns are so incredibly fun to shoot.
Especially with a hyper scroller mouse.
Yeah.
Which is the main reason why you want one of these for the run.
So in all that chaos, we just met Ronald, and he got captured immediately again. So we're trying to actually save him for real this time.
Stop this damn thing!
And another area where we try to go through the area as fast as possible while still trying to kill enemies. We're still a little under-leveled for where we are in the story, but with all these glitches, with the infinite ammo, with the shotgun, the close enough, we can rack up XP and get kills really, really quickly. So that's what Unjust is going to try to do as he's running through the map. And then there's a guaranteed badass that spawns coming up here that he's going to kill as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna slow down a little bit to check this chest and kill a badass for XP and grab a bit of money. There's a few more items we'll need throughout the run that we have to buy, so I will be still grabbing money the next little bit, but it's not as big of a deal. Maybe I'll do a little set of 2 nade jumps to get over this this wall here. I get on top of this wall, and then there's a little invisible wall which I have to get over. So I do the second grenade jump. I can end up at the boss here.
Just a more direct path.
Yeah, typically you have to go all the way around, and it takes a while. And then there's a wave fight at the end at this map after you kill the boss. But I just run to this wall here to hit the fast travel through the wall, and then I can save quit to skip that fight.
And we can turn in the mission right away and finally save Ronald.
You save Ronald. There's quite a bit of save quitting throughout the first half of the run. We will stop save quitting at about the halfway mark for another glitch. So if you're getting a bit tired of the save quitting strats, don't worry.
Handsome Jack is gonna
Something
kill
new
us
for
all.
So I just picked up the side quests that Lilith has. This wasn't to actually do the side quests. All we're going to be doing throughout this run is the main story quests. The reason he picked up the side quests is every quest in this game has an introduction dialogue line that basically just tells you, this is what I want you to do, go do it, have fun, good luck. This introduction line has insanely high priority because they want you to know what you're doing for the quest. But it's a little bit lower priority than some other lines. So the main story was playing, and we picked up those quests underneath the main story dialogue, which is higher priority. But it saves that first line until whenever you want to play it and swap to it. So this is the first instance of what we call quest swapping coming up in a little bit, which will swap to that quest to play that really high priority dialogue to skip other storylines. It's one of the big time saves that was found. I don't want to say too recently, but more recently than some of these other glitches.
So here we're at Tundra Express. To start this map, you have to set Barkid's on fire, and that triggers a cutscene to meet another character from Borderlands 1. But if you save quit right after you complete that objective, you will skip the cutscene. That's what we do. We run to that little pile over there, and now we can go meet another character named Tina. I didn't actually finish that. So again, after every save quit, I'll have to reset up all my glitches, infinite ammo, and emerging.
Yeah, most glitches in this game reset after you save quit to the menu. So that's why once we get a bunch of these glitches built up, we generally stop save quitting. In co-op runs, we stop save quitting like 10 minutes into the run because that's how fast you can break the game in co-op. But for solo, it takes a little bit longer to get to some of these glitches.
Times and she saved mine even more. She'll help you out, but here's a tip. Don't make any sudden movements near her.
So right here is an instance of a trick called Tina Talk. In co-op, you can just run, you have access to a super speed glitch, so you can just run up to Tina and talk before the cutscene. I can't do that in solo, because I can't do the speed glitch. But if I jump at a particular timing right before the cutscene and look at a particular spot, I can actually talk to Tina. Oh, I missed it. That's unfortunate. I can actually talk to Tina without having to run forward there after the cutscene. That saves a little bit of time, but I missed it, unfortunately.
She exists in her starting location before the cutscene for a split second before she teleports to where she is after the cutscene. So if you just have the right setup, you can talk to her before she teleports, but it's a bit difficult to set up.
Yeah, I think I looked a bit far left.
This here's Mushy Snuggle Bites, and this is
not a
Felicia's
big
Sexo Pants. These fine-ass women's could stop that train for your stuff. I'm gonna get badonkadonks first, and they got stole by the bandits a few days ago. Go get them!
So here we have to find Tina's bombs. That's Tina's main shtick. She's an explosives expert. We have to get some bombs for her so that she can help us hijack a train, get to the next boss, you know, usual things a 13-year-old does.
Exactly. But I was doing it at 13, I don't know about you. That's another, yeah. That's unfortunate. So after I grab the second badonkadon, I'm going to potentially die here. To do a death warp just to get back to his place quicker. One thing you probably noticed there is that after I got down to a really low health, I was actually immune from damage for a little bit. That's a mechanic called Health Gate, which basically after you just get reduced below like 20% HP or something, you will have just a few invulnerability frames. And one skill we have, which we spec into later, will just try to keep us constantly above that health gate so we don't die later on in the run. Because we do get quite underleveled throughout the run, so enemies essentially one-shot you. So having that feature is very helpful for staying alive.
Yeah, it prevents, no matter how much damage you take, it prevents you from being, as long as you're above half health, it prevents you from getting killed by any one attack. Really, really helpful at later playthroughs in the game where end game you're, 12 levels underleveled in a casual gameplay. So really, really helpful for those super difficult endgame playthroughs.
So I just have to wait for Tina to assemble the bombs. We need to hijack a train for this mission. So I just go out there and destroy some piles and loot up a little bit.
And here's going to be the first instance of that quest stop I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I'll play the quest, which skips a bunch of Tina's dialogue. And then I'll pick up another quest underneath that line. So again, this preserves that line of dialogue in my backpack for later use. Some one-arm bandit. Again, that's another rare spawn that gives a whole bunch of XP. I'm getting a lot of those this run, it seems like.
Yeah. A lot of those, a lot of badasses. It's a fun time. So one more quest swap to skip some dialogue after this. And kill that one-armed bandit to get some XP.
I'm not gonna kill one bandit.
Oh, I killed him.
It's not worth it. I probably should have, but you know. I have enough XP.
The next, I want to say more soft level cap that we have coming up. We want to hit level 12 at a specific point for one of Gage's skills. But it's not as imperative to get it right then, so.
Search the train cars. They're probably keeping the vault key in the most...
So I'm going to load into this map and then immediately do a death warp. So right now, there's no save active on the map, and when you die without a save active, the game will default to put you at the fast travel. And luckily for us, the fast travel is actually at the end of the map. So I will basically die, and then as soon as I can put the fast travel, I'll save quit to skip the respawning animation. And now I'm at the end of the map.
Oh dear.
Yeah, just setting up my infinite ammo and all my bridges and glitches and whatnot. And then I'll do another quest go up here, skip some dialogue before this boss fight, before and after. And then we can progress with the quest.
Long Rider, unfortunate.
Was it a Long Rider? I thought it was a Hyperion. Oh, that's a sniper. Okay. Full backpack? How?
Too good at picking up loot.
Too good at the loot. Looting.
Yes.
So after that quest, I'm actually not going to fast travel back to Sanctuary, which is where the mission objective is. I'm going to travel to 300 of Ide and then drive back to Sanctuary. That's because the next mission objective is at the start of the map here. So that'll just put us a bit closer.
A couple of years ago. You have proven yourself to be even stronger than them. Well,
As much as I hate using Hyperion tech, that core you brought us
I mean, funny enough, this is actually a dialogue skip that most casual players will run into just accidentally, inadvertently. The objective's active immediately, so you can do it while the dialogue before was playing. And people usually just run into it accidentally without knowing that there's a line afterwards. So you can sort of see how big that Sanctuary fast travel radius was to activate it, because we were nowhere close to being actually inside of Sanctuary. And we hit the save.
Yeah, so I hit that save all the way from the start. So I can save quit this spawn here in the middle. And after I loaded in, I hit the new use station over there. That triggered some dialogue where Claptrap is explaining what new use stations are. Again, it's tutorial dialogue, so that's very high priority. And so I just skipped a bit of dialogue. I should have kept that.
Probably.
So here I'm just going to turn my my sound effects off, because otherwise it gets very, very loud for this particular section. In this part, there's like Jack bombarding the city with mortars, and it's just the game doesn't process the audio correctly. It just puts that at like the highest possible value, so it gets very, very loud even if you're on like the smallest audio settings. So just to save us all that torture, I'm gonna turn it down for
Like
this brief time.
It's really loud.
I got them. You need them.
Yeah, and then there's a huge cutscene that's supposed to play where you watch Sanctuary gets teleported away. Lilith uses her powers to save Sanctuary and from Jack's assault. But we saw that save icon in the top right corner. Once we saw that, we could just save quit and skip the entire cutscene.
Yeah, that's one of the earliest time saves ever found actually in this game.
Never occurred to you that she was working for me, did it? I
And then we get a car and we get to head towards the fridge.
I'll be entirely honest.
So you see, every time Unjust grabs a car, he's doing some funky menuing to get specifically to the bandit barrel technical. For whatever reason, this car in particular is the fastest car that you can use. Significantly faster than the other version of the bandit technical. Noticeably faster.
Quite significantly.
So every time he gets a car, he's going to be doing that weird menuing. Once he gets to a point where he stops save coding, he won't have to do that anymore because it'll save that he has that car as the default one. But just a really odd decision by Gearbox to just make this one car faster than the other for no real reason, it seems. But
no obvious reason, at least.
but we roll with it and just learn this weird menuing to get to it.
Unfortunately, I'm like 1 XP out.
You're like 1 kill away, too.
Yeah. Typically, you want to be 12 before entering the fridge here. Not a big deal, though. So I'm going to do a bit of just clear my inventory. I'm looking for one of these. These aren't good.
I wouldn't go with either one. Personally.
So this fridge area is set to level 15. It's the earliest area in the game that's level 15. And at level 15, a certain type of shield called amp shields can spawn. And so we need an amp shield because they'll give us a whole bunch more damage later in the run.
It adds extra damage to your shot at the cost of some of your shield health. Which, playing normally isn't that great of a trade. It's an okay trade-off, but with a glitch that's going to be coming up somewhat soon, that shield cost isn't going to matter too much.
Yeah, so right there you saw that little blue laser beam that I got hit by. That's just a skill called Buck Up. Basically, whenever Gage's shield is below maximum, Deathtrap will attempt to restore her shield. This is called Buck Up. That's just what that blue laser was.
And it's one of the other reasons that we select Gage for the run, because there is a big glitch with that. That's we're going to start stacking in a little bit. So here we made it through, and Sanctuary's gonna finally reappear. And we're just gonna leave.
Yeah, we're just safe quitting and skip a bit more dialogue.
Error. Location, Sanctuary, not found.
And then just keep going. Progressing to the area.
Yeah, story-wise, Lil's doing the traveling disconnected Sanctuary from fast traveling, so we can't do that yet, so we need to find a new one to reprogram it to get it back to Sanctuary. The story's not too complex or that we pay attention to it too much, but there is a story that exists in it.
I don't know, I'm a speedrunner. I don't pay attention. I go fast, you know?
I noticed in the chat that we have a poll going for your favorite Borderlands character, and it's almost up, so we want to know, Unjust and ZZ, what are your favorite characters, or who, rather?
Between Tina, Claptrap, Torg, and Scooter. It's definitely Scooter for both of us, I'm sure.
I don't know. I love Scooter. Scooter's great. I also like Torg. Everyone but Claptrap, basically.
No love for Claptrap.
Scooter's fun in this game because he has a lot of quests that we use for quest swaps in the co-op run. So he has some really fun dialogue that we just never hear in the solo run.
Yeah. He probably has the best dialogue of any character in this game.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Torg do we even hear from Torg in the main story at all?
Nope, he's a DLC thing. He appears in DLC 2 first. So.
Interesting. He's really fun.
So I just did a little set of grenade jumps to get across the waterway a bit quicker. That section.
So the beacon that we're going to program is gonna be picked up by the Thresher, so we just have to kill that really quick. It has the weird invulnerability phase, but once he finishes, we can just one-shot it immediately.
Yeah, you can get it down to 1 health, but you can't kill it before the animation plays. And then we're coming up to Overlook, which is... it used to be an area that was very, very bad, and everyone hated it. And now everyone still hates it, but it's not as bad.
Just don't die quickly.
This is the area with like the most downtime. You want to explain Overlook Glitch because you're a lot better at it than I am.
So what's going to happen in the story is we're placing down the beacon that we got from the Thresher for Angel to shoot down a new fast travel station to us, and we have to keep this beacon. Jack's going to attack us with enemies while this happens. We have to defend the beacon from getting destroyed, so that Angel can send the new fast travel station. The enemies can attack the beacon. It has a health bar, and it can get destroyed, so we'd have to repair it. If the beacon gets broken 8 times, it enters an invulnerability state, or an invulnerable state where the developers basically say, hey, you're having trouble keeping this alive. We're going to keep it alive for you. Just focus on the enemies. It's much more noticeable in the later playthroughs where the damage scaling is a lot more severe, where enemies can just destroy it with 1 bullet. So what we're going to do is we're going to repair the beacon. It's going to be full health, and then we're going to save quit. This is going to have essentially the same effect of an enemy destroying the beacon. So we're going to do that 8 times, and after the 8th time, it's going to be invulnerable, and then we're going to save quit 1 more time, and doing so while it's in this invulnerable state completes the quest.
Oh my god, what is that?
What is that?
I can't afford that.
I wouldn't even use it anyway. That's...
Oh, it's pretty though. It's purple.
Interesting. So we call it Overlook Skip, and it's one of the biggest time saves in the run. In the geared category, I think they saved like 5 minutes or so on like an hour 15 run just by implementing this skip. It's such a complex fight and how to do it optimally that I don't think anyone that's still running knows how to do it optimally.
There was like one person who knew how to do it optimally and one person who kind of knew how to do it, and then we just found a skip for it, so now no one knows.
Yeah, so while he's doing that, one of the benefits of all the save quits to destroy the beacon is we get a lot of checks for the weapon vendor that's in here. The shotgun that Unjust has right now is not going to last us for the rest of the game. 25 damage is not going to be nearly enough to kill the final boss. So we're checking this vendor over and over and over again to get an upgrade on our current shotgun. So we get a couple of, ideally we don't have to check this too often, but we might get to a point where we have to check it too much. And this is another RNG part of the run that it can just demolish a good pace run.
Yeah, this can literally never happen, this set of RNG, so a lot of good runs die at this point. I do have a backup, so if this takes too long, then I won't have to suffer. But yeah, so if I get to the end of the area and I don't have a shotgun yet, I'll just use the backup I have.
So this is 1 or 2 more left. So
yeah, this is the area with the most downtime of the run.
Sure, well, I can always mention a few things to everyone. First off, I want to say that don't forget, SGDQ 2022 on-site volunteer applications are open from now until April 20th. So if you are interested in becoming a camera operator volunteer or a volunteer for one of the other fun positions, you can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. Also want to mention that if you are watching this on YouTube from the future, make sure you go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you are interested in watching our content live. We start most weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. We would love to have you stop by.
So luckily we got the shotgun that we needed. It's not a great one.
Nice.
It is like the worst possible one you can get at this point, basically. That's like just above the threshold of acceptable, but
what was that?
We'll take it.
Was that 16 Hyperion Jacobs, or was that 14 Hyperion Jacobs? Yeah, 14. We'll be fine.
It'll be all right. We'll get what's shotgun in wildlife. It'll be okay.
Yeah, a fun quirk about the game is every weapon has specific parts from the other manufacturers that it can be, and they don't make enough of a difference for us to look out for specific parts. But different parts can definitely have a huge effect on the run.
Yeah, it's just kind of nice. Really, you got good parts or not. So we're actually done with this area now. So I can hit this fast travel at the end of this map. And that is the last save quit in the run right there. So at this point,
Well done.
thank you. At this point, I will be doing a buck up glitch. So I'm going to summon Death Trap, take off my shield, and then Death Trap, since I don't have a shield, is going to attempt to give me buck up, which just restores my shield again. And then I'm going to travel away while that effect is happening. And what this will do is it'll make it so the game won't ever remove that effect from my character. So right now it thinks I have buck up, even though Death Trap doesn't exist yet. This effect can also stack any number of times. So basically at the end of each map, I will just be taking off my shield, summoning Death Trap, and then leaving during the buck up animation.
Damn it, we told you never to contact us again.
Will you please
The game, whenever you travel out, the game kills all entities in the map that exist in the map. But the beam itself isn't actually an entity that you can kill. So it kills Death Trap, but the beam is still active perpetually until you save quit again. So that's the reason why we never save quit. We're going to be doing this a ton of times throughout the run. And if we save quit, then we lose all of it. So I just did a bit of a routing to go through Sanctuary to pick up a whole bunch of side quests under this long story dialogue. And we're just stocking up on quests that we can use to skip dialogue a little bit later in the run. We picked up 7 or 8 or so.
Something like that, yeah. Quite a few. I also grabbed a grenade SDU. That'll just increase my maximum grenade count, so I can do more grenade jumps throughout the run.
SDU upgrades increase your max ammo capacity, but since we have infinite ammo, doesn't really matter for us. So we just go with grenades, which are the main thing that we want to keep replenishing. So you'll see, Unjust equipped his shield immediately from his inventory, and it started recharging immediately. Usually whenever you equip from your backpack, you have to wait the recharge delay of your shield for it to start recharging. But now it recharges immediately when you equip it, and it's going to constantly recharge. So he did the grenade jump, and his shield was back to full a second later. The more times you stack this, the faster that goes. So we'll get to a point later on in the run where just his shield's going to recharge as soon as he takes damage.
Yeah, you might think, well, that just makes you invincible. It's not true, because later in the run we will be so underleveled that enemies will do enough damage to like break my shield in one shot. So I will be taking still a lot of damage like you.
So this route that he's going to be taking through Wildlife Exploitation Preserve is actually a very specific one that Gage has to do. Since we don't want to save quit throughout the rest of the run because of these buck-up stacks that we're getting up, we need to figure out a way to get from the end of the map to the start of the map very quickly once we're finished with the area. Normally other characters can just save quit to get back to the very start, but since we don't want to lose these stacks, we can't save quit. So what Unjust is going to be doing throughout this entire area is skipping every single new use station, save point respawn station for whenever you die. They're all throughout the map. And he's going to be taking weird paths that aren't technically faster to get through, but he's doing this to skip these save stations so that once he's finished at the end of the map, he can kill himself and death warp to the very start. So you'll see this through a couple points in the run. You'll be like, why is he doing this? It doesn't look like it's taking a more direct path. But he's doing it to skip some of these save stations.
So yeah, right here, typically you're supposed to run off the edge of the map to go to that building over there. But there's a save station in the building. So I'll just do a grenade jump to get over this wall and avoid that.
Do a little tight roping. Tightrope walking to get around it. It's actually jarring if Borderlands 2 has a ton of different categories. One where just about any vault hunter that you enjoy, there's, except for Krieg, a category where they're the fastest in. So whenever we do any of these other categories, taking this Gage route is actually slower, but we're so used to it from the muscle memory from doing the Gage runs that we do it anyway, just out of pure habit.
I have definitely done that more than once.
So I just got Pomona and Toomba, who are rare spawns in the Senate area. They're bosses that don't always spawn, but killing them gives you a whole bunch of XP. Which I think you just got you got from
No, you can't get one. They always find
you just can't find it then. Oh, there's the one.
Yeah, they give a whole bunch of XP. It's really nice because I was actually a little low, so that'll help catch me up. So that button, you have to hit that button, and typically you run through that whole building, but you can do a little jump up the waterfall to skip right to this thing.
There's also a save station that you miss.
Yeah.
By taking this.
So before the death, what's it called? Death warp route. You'd take the waterfall just because it was a little bit more of a direct line, but now you actually have to because it avoids the save station. And then this is just a mandatory fight. You can't speed up really at all, aside from just killing quicker.
So there's a couple of enemies that you have to kill first. It'll spawn that badass stalker, and killing that badass stalker will open this door to this super badass loader, which is the later playthrough badass version of the enemies, which is really interesting that they put one of these buff versions of them in the first playthrough.
Bloodwing should be in one of these cells. Don't worry about the uglies and the other ones. They can't.
And then just about that button that he had to push back earlier, if you don't press that button, then pressing this button will hard lock your save, so you can't progress. This is one of the downsides of playing on patch 1.1. We play on this patch because it has all these glitches, but unfortunately, that's one of the hard locks that was fixed in later patches. Gearbox fixed it by you just don't have to press the button, period. So speedruns that happen on later playthroughs just skip that button entirely. You can do it in the current patch of the game, you don't have to hit that, but since we're playing on 1.1, you do.
Just keep pushing through the preserve, amigo.
And then again, I'm just doing a awkward kind of out of bounds here to skip another save.
This one absolutely loses time to do. That all of the runners do in all of the other categories just because of muscle memory. It's really funny to watch, and whenever you realize it, whenever you do it yourself.
I have a lot of muscle memory. Like one of the glitches that got fixed on current patch is merging. I have a bad habit of whenever I do a current patch runs, I still merge, even though it doesn't do anything. Just from muscle memory.
So here's another out of bounds that he's going to be doing. It's aside from the bloodshot out of bounds, it's really the only other out of bounds that's in the run that skips a good chunk of the map. There's a wall that he's going to run up to that just doesn't exist.
I'll do the safe strats, I think.
Okay. All right. And doing so just skips most of this last building that you have to go through, and it takes you just directly into Bloodwing's arena.
Nice one, boy.
Nice.
Bloodwing back, huh? Shame. I've been doing some.
Yeah, Bloodwing is one of the areas that has a lot of nifty movement in this category. I guess that the last out of bounds there's in every category, but most of the other ones you avoid completely because you just hit the save and save quit at the end of the map.
Oh my god.
So now we have to fight Bloodwing. Basically, Bloodwing is Mordecai's pet bird, and Jax kidnapped Bloodwing and done a whole bunch of experiments on her. So now we have to fight her.
Damn, I forgot the last
Yeah, Mordecai's the cutscene that we skipped in the area with Tina. I don't think we ever went over that. That's
no,
one
I
of,
did that, yeah.
I'm sorry, soldier.
I think we just said it was one of the other Fault Hunters. I don't think we said it was Mordecai specifically.
She's got what
Oh,
we
yeah,
need to
maybe.
get into Control Core Angel and grab the vault key. That's what matters here.
Or in the BL1 speedrun, this Bloodwing is the character that we run.
And right here I'm going to be spamming jump for this fight. Basically, any enemy that has a spawning animation can't track you if you start jumping. And if you just keep jumping, like after every little interval hitting the ground, the enemy will just kind of stay stunned in the air. It's very
That's
useful.
so cool.
Oh, but I got away. That's fine.
Yeah, let's just put a whole bunch of critical hits into a Bloodwing to wound her. Nothing more.
Who are not me might consider slag experimentation immoral. Some people would not.
Yeah, so we're getting an upgrade for Claptrap from Bloodwing. And we're just going to leave her in the arena, and she's going to be chilling there for the rest of the time.
Yeah, Bloodwing's fine.
Bloodwing is fine.
I'm sorry about Bloodwing, soldier. but we gotta keep
So yeah, right there, I just I take off my shield, take a backup stack right here, and use the elevator to crush myself. I can get back to the start and quickly travel back to Sanctuary.
If we hit any of those save stations, we'll spawn at the save station that we hit and have to run back to the start. So it saves a significant amount of time at that part specifically to lose the time a little bit throughout the area.
Buddy, what the hell are you?
So we're delivering the upgraded claptrap.
Holy scadsec! I'm invisible! This is you. I can't. Minion, give me.
I'm gonna pick up Lilith's quest here to get claptraps on a dialogue there, so I can turn the quest in immediately.
The Slab King. Now, he used to be a part of the Crimson
And then we're gonna go meet the last character from Borderlands one we haven't met yet.
Thousand Cuts is west of the
I have a new shotgun, by the way.
for the Slab King.
Oh, thank you.
Where he'll be. Now, be careful though. He kind of lost it after Hyperion killed his dog.
Yeah, you can see that there because he didn't save quit. He could just go right into the wrecked vehicle. He didn't have to do the flinky menuing. So another stack of backup. So we're should be at 4 at this point, and you'll start seeing the effects. Just his shield took a second to recharge. The rest of this kill tree doesn't matter too much. It's not anything that is game breaking for the run. It's just stuff that helps. Right now he's spec'd into Cooking Up Trouble, which is a healing skill. If your magazine is full, then you'll recharge health. Luckily, because we have infinite ammo, our mag never goes lower than full, so we're just perpetually getting health, regenerating health. Again, not something super game-breaking, like close enough for like buck up, but just something that helps. Gage really has everything that we need for a fast and optimal video game run.
And then the skill we get after Cooking Up Trouble is just a move speed skill, so that's obviously very useful. Doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's just
cherry on top. Yeah, so we'd run through this area. This is where enemies are going to start doing a lot of damage to us. We're really underleveled at this point, so we'll start seeing some of those effects coming up.
I'm spawn locked.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll despawn eventually. This doesn't happen too often in solo runs, but there's actually a spawn cap limit of how many enemies can be in the map at once. That number is shockingly low. It doesn't feel like it, but 2012 was actually a while ago. And
10 years.
Yeah, it's scary to think about. But computers and consoles just weren't as powerful as they are now. So the limits of how many entities they could have at once is much lower. So we need enemies to spawn in this arena, and the enemies outside the arena are locking up the spawns, which is it's slowed down a little bit. But it's not too prevalent in solo, but in co-op it can go disastrously wrong.
It can use on the order of minutes in solo or in co-op.
So another dialogue skip to trigger Brick's cutscene immediately. And this is the last Vault Hunter from BL1.
So what you want?
Extreme paranoia. I hid my notes on the opening of the vault.
And there's another dialogue. I have to.
And promptly forgot that.
I almost did that incorrectly. That could have been bad.
You're fine. This dialogue skip is actually a funny one that was found. This was routed previously to be 3 different quests to skip 3 lines of dialogue. But for whatever reason, this quest that he swapped to from Marshall Friedman has incredibly high priority that it just skips everything all at once. So it saved 3 quests in some of the runs that use a lot more quest swaps, and it was found accidentally just because the wrong quest was swapped to on accident.
Yeah, that's rather funny. It also lasts like just long enough to skip all the dialogue that it needs to, so it's really just the perfect thing to use at that point.
So here we just kind of have to babysit Brick as he helps us exit this area safely. Brick is a little slow, and these mortars that are in the E-Tech. All right. some of the mortars that spawn, actually, we talked about health gate a little bit earlier. These mortars just ignore health gate and one-shot you no matter what, since we're such low level, so we have to avoid them at all costs in this run.
Yeah,
Set them our
it's
spawns
just
each time.
Just clear spawns and wait for brick is this area.
And stay out of the red target circles.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Having a death here is or really at any point in the run, costs a lot of time.
Yeah, because we talked about anarchy a little bit earlier, in that you get stacks as you kill enemies, and doing so increases your damage at the cost of accuracy. It caps out at 150 at base level. Gage has some skills to increase the caps. I think up to 600.
Yeah.
Or is it 400?
It's 400 and 600 with a class one.
So we can. She has those skills, but we don't end up speccing into. But whenever we're at 150 damage, that's an extra 150% damage that we're doing. So if we die, we lose all of those stacks, and since we're not save quitting, we're racking these stacks up as we go through the story. So any deaths at this point, barring a couple that we have specific strats for, can be really, really bad.
I didn't put on my amp. I just realized.
Yeah, I was thinking that. You hit 15 in the thing and didn't do anything, but I thought I saw you do it before.
I forget to do that a lot. So I hit level 15 there, so now I have access to amp shields. Like we talked about before, amp shields give you increased damage whenever your shield's full, but then it'll cost a bit of a shield capacity to shoot.
Sorry to interrupt,
So
but we've little time.
basically every time I shoot, my shield will go down, but since I have so many stacks of buckup, my shield will be recharging constantly.
That means passing a
That's like one of the big things that buckup gives you, is that it's not only just a whole bunch of survivability, because it's healing, it's also a bunch of damage, because you're getting amp damage with every shot, essentially.
And then there's a fun interaction on patch 1.1, which is another reason why we're on this patch. I think you have 76 extra damage. There's a fun interaction with amp shields and shotguns that it applies that 76 extra damage to every single pellet of the shotgun. So just by swapping to this shield, Unjust gained 700 to 1,000. I don't want to do the math, but probably close to 1,000 extra damage per shot that he has the amp shield active, which is incredibly high for this part of the game.
Yeah, this is like the main reason why Gage is the fastest character, because of the switch specifically, and its combination with amp shields.
On release of the Gate, there's a legendary shield that actually doesn't cost any shield capacity to fire an amp shot, and it's one of the strongest shields in the game. But this interaction with shotguns is just caused that shield to get nerfed massively in later patches, as well as fixing the interaction itself.
Yeah, the interaction with shotguns and amp damage could you could kill every boss in the game like, in milliseconds, and it's ridiculous. Very serendipitous for us, though.
Unfortunately, I know there's been a couple of questions about any legendaries that we use in the run. Unfortunately, legendaries have such low drop chances, just in general in the current patch, but on this patch specifically, they have even lower chances. So it's just not likely that we'll get any legendary in the run to begin with, let alone a specific one to be consistent to route into the run.
It'd be like there's not even any legendaries that would help, really.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them are good for it. There's one, but the place you're supposed to get it is like way later in the run than we would ever be able to use it. So getting that would be very difficult.
Yeah, and it's like that through most of the runs in the series too. That legendaries are so much fun to use casually, but just not consistent enough for us to use in a speedrun sense.
Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. And now I have the voice of a douchebag. Great.
So the whole point of this area was to get a voice modulator so we can imitate Jack, to get past the barrier fun part about Gage that I don't think they ever recorded Jack's line for Gage. So Gage just disses herself accidentally because she's talking. He sounds like a jerk, but she's talking as herself instead of as Jack. So it's just a funny thing.
That is funny.
It's always like a head turner every time you hear it in a row.
So at the start of this mission, there's a very long dialogue that plays every time. And there's another objective in Sanctuary after that line of dialogue plays. So I'm just gonna run back to the travel after turning in, travel out and travel back in. This gives me an opportunity just to buy grenades and also check for any more snipers that I can merge for more quick damage. I got one, nice.
Oh, you're still using the pistol because you sold that sniper, didn't you?
Yeah, I sold the Hyperion sniper I got. Then I just travel back to Sanctuary after to come talk to Cloudtrap.
And traveling in and out has the same effect of a save quit. All the other characters would save quit at this point, but since we don't want to save quit, we just travel in and out to get the same effect.
I enlisted you as my minion, then Angel just happened to attack Sanctuary. Don't you get it? Jack was coming after me. It's time to take the fight to him.
Then I use 2 grenades in Sanctuary to leave the area before Cloudtrap stops talking. What that'll do is basically just make it so he spawns a little bit closer to where he needs to be in this next map. It saves like 2 seconds, if that, but time save is time save, so I should spec into it. So at this point is where we start to get incredibly underleveled. This mission where Angels Feel Their Tread has a massive XP, like a level jump from the previous one. You're supposed to be like level 24 or something at this point, doing it casually, and we're level 16. So this is at the point where clearing enemies and staying alive starts to become quite difficult.
So Hyperion was really bad at protecting their area. There's this big death wall that they didn't cover everything, so we can just grenade jump around it. There's a trigger that happens after it that we still have to hit, otherwise we softlock, which is why I just ran straight towards those crates. Doing so hits that trigger. Claptrap talked for like half a second, and doing that updated the objective so that we don't softlock.
Also, running too quickly will softlock the game as well, so just slow down a little bit to make sure that doesn't happen.
So, at this point in the game, Deathtrap becomes not very effective. He doesn't do nearly enough damage, and he doesn't have nearly enough health to actually survive. We can survive because of Buck Up, but Deathtrap does not have Buck Up. So, from this point on, anytime we let out Deathtrap, it's gonna be solely for death fodder and for aggro relief, so that enemies focus Deathtrap instead of us.
Yeah, it's either that or we're using him for a Buck Up.
Yes. And he's actually surviving. Oh, he followed us. That's why he's just stuck in the wall.
Oh well. Right there, you saw that I just shot the floor for a little bit. There's actually 2 cannons or 2 turrets that spawn on the wall there. But again, using close enough, I can just shoot the floor and have them die quickly.
And then there's 2 specific enemies that we have to kill: the surveyors that are flying around that cause this badass constructor to spawn. We have to kill the constructor. Actually, before it's even ready to start killing us, and then the store opens, and then we can move on. Actually, a really good door area or to turns field.
Yeah, that went well. One thing to note, which we probably should have brought up earlier, but oh well, is right there I threw my 3rd grenade before opening the ammo crate. There's one small feature in this game where you get weighted ammo drops depending on what type of ammo you're in need of. So if you're ever below 1/3 of your maximum ammo capacity for a specific ammo type, you have a very, very high chance of finding an ammo. So I just threw my grenade there to lower my total count, so I had a higher chance of finding them from that ammo crate.
And by higher chance, it's pretty much guaranteed.
Yes, it's like 90% or something. And you can just do a little nifty grenade jump to get up to the spot earlier. Destroy the cannon quicker.
So this is a very RNG heavy section. These turrets, we have to kill 11 turrets over here to protect brick slabs, and they spawn in completely random locations. So trying to track these down and do so efficiently is really, really difficult. And this is like probably the biggest part where you can see the effects of some of the parts that we have on some of our weapons. One of the parts on Just has increases his recoil a ton, which will make it a bit more difficult to track down some of these cannons.
Yeah, getting a sight on a shotgun, one of your shotguns, will make a huge difference in this section specifically, just for killing enemies at range. The sight is like probably the best part you can get on any gun. Probably the most important, just having a sight in general. You wouldn't think it saves that much time, but it just makes killing enemies at a distance a lot quicker and makes hitting critical hits way easier. I have a white rarity shotgun, unfortunately, so I can't actually get a sight on this gun, but
yeah, the higher rarity weapons definitely make things a little bit easier. Just higher rarity has higher damage at the same level, but we can finish this game with just basic white gear, but we don't need anything higher than, well, aside from those SCO, we don't need anything higher than white rarity to finish the run, which makes it really, really nice in terms of an RNG. RNG is still difficult, but much more manageable when you just need common gear.
So another part of RNG in this section is the bunker, his pathing here. He can fly around in a completely random pattern, and he doesn't look like he's giving us a... Oh no. Yeah, no, he's not being nice. What you want is you want him to fly around the entire map and like come over and spawn on this side. He didn't do that. Oh.
We stand in that very specific spot for a better chance of him to fly towards us.
Is that not working?
But sometimes we just get unlucky. And then with each location that he can spawn at, he can have 2 different patterns too.
That was close. I thought if I got body blocked, that exploder really deserves a raise. Like, oh.
So he can either sit still or he can sway back and forth. Unfortunately, we got the worst combination of both. He's swaying and he's in the bad spot.
And one of the effects you can see is whenever I ADS, my screen kind of just shakes all crazy because of the fire rate of my gun combined with all these glitches.
And the bad parts too.
Yeah, the Jacob stock giving a bunch of recoil. That's very bad.
Yeah,
so I got a good turn pattern, but unfortunately Bunker's pattern wasn't very nice.
This is where we want him to be to start with. But, you know, second
in this exact pattern?
Yeah.
If you can stay still here, I can do a lot more damage a lot quicker.
Yeah, same thing that we did with Bloodwing and keeping her still as we locked her in place with her spawn animation. If Bunker just decides to do that naturally, it makes it a lot easier. But
it wasn't too bad.
Not too bad. It's tough with Jacob stock since you can't. Aiming down sights increases your accuracy a significant amount. That you can save cycles just from having better accuracy and hitting more of your pellets.
I also have another Jacob sniper that I forgot to merge.
Yeah, details.
And I dropped it.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, this is frame perfect, actually.
So I'm just spec'd into the movement speed skill right there. It's not too noticeable, but it's enough to spec into it to take advantage of what we can.
With the bunker destroyed, you can access the door to my chambers. Move quickly.
And then typically, what you have to do at the end of this map is hit this button and ride this elevator all the way down. But we can do this with too little out of bounds. Come back here. And this just avoids having to wait through all that. Yeah, I got the dunk.
The dunk.
But getting through that little gap there without hitting anything is what we call a dunk. It's because, you know, it's satisfying. And
there's a lot of little bits of terrain that are sticking out that are super easy to hit. So navigating all that is super satisfying.
Executing phase shift. The key is here.
And then now we have to meet Angel. This is one instance where Gage actually loses time on every other character, because after hitting that button, every other character will just save quit to skip this cutscene. But again, save quitting is very, very bad, as it would get rid of all of our glitches and everything like that. So unfortunately, we have to watch it. But again, this character is much, much faster.
Years pumping me full of iridium, using
Actually,
me to
it's
charge his key and
not
manipulate
that
his
much. It's
enemies.
only like 4 minutes faster.
iridium
Isn't
injectors that
Zero's at
keep me.
159? And
True,
Gage is
yeah,
at 155.
Zero has been a lot more optimized recently.
And it will end
So
a lifetime of
it's
servitude.
definitely, Gage is definitely faster, but not by as much as it has been in the past.
A few years back, I won 2 prizes in Moxie's Underdome.
So then, yeah, after that cutscene, I'm gonna play a quest swap through the solid dialogue. This is the area where quest swapping plays the most significant role. I'll probably save something like 5 minutes in this area alone.
Doesn't save that much time, does it?
But it saves 4 or 5 minutes probably, yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. Maybe not that much, but
Yeah.
probably more like 2 minutes actually, yeah. But
We definitely use the most in this area. This is the closest thing this game has to an auto-scroller. We have to kill all the enemies that are attacking us, but we have to wait for the enemies to spawn. It's unlucky.
typically you can't die here at all. Or, like, you don't usually, but I guess my shield's pretty bad.
Yeah. I think you just got unlucky with, I think they had 2 Jacob snipers that just did a lot of damage back to back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just kind of have to sit here and wait for enemies to spawn, so the biggest thing we can do to speed things up is just skip the dialogue. Because there's a lot of it that matters that we can skip.
Yeah, so this is the area with just a bunch of downtime.
Sure, well, I guess it would be a cool time for me to give a shout out to all of our supporters. Thank you so much. Your subs, gift subs, Prime Gaming subs, and bits help support weekly Hotfix content, including this show. So if you are having fun, please consider supporting our daily content. And also, if you do have any ideas for your own show or one-off events that you'd like featured on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel, feel free to go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix and submit your ideas. We'd love to hear them, and we'd love to work with you. Also want to say that if you are enjoying the run, please make sure you follow our runner. That's twitch.tv/unjustaction, as well as our commentator at ZZRules21 on YouTube. It's been a blast having you both here, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So one annoying thing about this area is that there is a little bit of RNG involved. Roland has a turret that he can throw to kind of do support, but he also has specific spots he needs to be at the end of each wave. And if he throws his turret in his path of where he needs to be, then he will just get stuck on this turret. And in my my current PB, actually, I lost like 30 seconds to Roland just standing on his turret doing nothing. So it's very, very annoying if that happens.
Roland actually follows the host character throughout this area whenever he's on the floor, which is something we didn't find out until too recently. And so where the enemies spawn also dictates some of how long it takes for Roland to get to his spot. In co-op, the host can just stand right next to where Roland needs to be, and he won't move, and it'll be really fast. But in solo, you actually have to go close to the enemy and kill the enemies, so you lose a little bit of time because of that.
Ronald.
It's actually a interesting dialogue line. The line that we used is actually super short. It was only just that one sentence, but it lasts just long enough to skip everything we need. So it's really interesting whenever you think about it a little bit more.
And there's another little piece of RNG here. Roland is just kind of waiting for Lilith to come pick him up to take him back up to the last injector. And Lilith is kind of just standing on a platform outside the map, actually, just doing nothing. The amount of time she takes is kind of random. And yeah.
Yeah, but we're at the last section of the area, so it's not too much longer. We have to sit through this.
These are the last 2 enemies, and then one more cutscene before we leave the area as well. But aside from that, we should be done here quick. And then one final piece of RNG is Angel can have an animation. If she decides to do an animation right before you just read the last injector, you'll lose a bit of time having to wait for it.
She's gonna finish. She loses everything supporting her, but she still has to finish her animation of giving you ammo before she can actually get affected by it. So
I need ammo. Okay, it's very important that I require more ammo for this room.
Very important.
Lordwing's dead.
She can give you grenades. That's.
I don't know about you.
You
true, I guess.
He does, right? Right.
Yeah, there's another cutscene just before we leave this area that, again, the characters would skip, but be engaged. We have to watch it. And it's kind of surprising that like Gage is the fastest character by such a considerable margin when you have to watch so much more cutscenes in this category versus others.
Ronald, no.
No.
Yeah, this is also the only category where Ronald actually dies because we have to watch this cutscene.
Don't pick a fight with a man.
It's very sad.
Left to lose. See, I'm
Rest
gonna
in peace,
show
Ronald.
you just how much you have to lose, and I got the most powerful siren on the planet to do it with. Lilith, kill the Vault Hunter. We've got a date to keep with the warrior.
I remember being really sad whenever I played it the first time.
When I played the first time, I was just I did not know what was going on in the story at all. So I was just oh, interesting.
I mean, if you're watching the speedrun, you probably don't know what's happening in the story either. Since we're skipping most of the dialogue. So Marcus actually has a cutscene here whenever you meet him to introduce who he is, but that cutscene is tied to one of the quests he gives. If you pick up that quest, the cutscene never plays. It's how the game kind of tracks that you've seen the cutscene. If you watch his cutscene and don't pick up that quest, if you try to enter his shop again, you'll watch the cutscene again. It's a really weird interaction that you can get around having to watch it, period, just by just now picking up that quest.
Yeah, we spawn at the back of his shop, so we're behind the cutscene trigger, and only pick up the quest, so the game assumes we've already seen the cutscene, so we don't have to watch it. And now we're on our way to Sawtooth College Run, which is one of the most infamous areas in the run. There's just a whole lot of enemies in a very small, tight area, and a lot of spawns you get are like very tough enemies that do a lot of damage, and it's just it's a very difficult area and very easy to lose a lot of time dying.
Very easy to die in, and dying at this point means you lose. I don't know. You probably have max anarchy right now, which is an extra 150%. I don't know the exact calculation, but
it's like 225%, I think.
Yeah, a ton of extra damage that you just lose out on for the rest of the run. It's a really, really difficult area to get through and to do fast at the same time. Because one, you have to avoid dying, and two, you have to just go through the area quickly too. It's definitely a make or break point in a good run.
Yeah, basically for the entire end game, from like this point onward, whenever you're running, you're kind of just on the edge of your seat. Your heart's in your throat the whole time because at any point you could just get hit by one thing that downs you and you die and lose a whole bunch of time.
Intruders detected. Locking path to info stockade.
So this is a neat driving set. If we don't drive too much in the game, but this is a neat section that you can do with some neat boosting with your car. You're not supposed to go this way that you just went, but it's a far more direct path than having to go all the way around to get to the bridge. It's not an easy one, but it's one that saves a good chunk of time. And it's one of the main driving tech in the game. Or in the run. Here's Sawtooth Cauldron.
Just gonna jump to the start here. One thing I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna aggro as many enemies as possible outside this little area here to try and spawn lock myself in this area to make it easier to one of the few places where spawn locking is actually advantageous. Just reduces the number of enemies shooting at me as I'm trying to run through this little section here.
Oh, look, everybody! It's a witty bitty slab trying to use our elevator. Get him!
And then what we have to do is we have to kill 4 of these ambush commanders. And part of where spawn locking can go poorly in this area is you can lock yourself out of getting those ambush commander spawns. So doing it the way I'm just did made it so that it was spawn locked elsewhere, so you wouldn't get spawn locked for the ambush commanders. So really, really good kills there. They can spawn in weird locations, so you get a really good spawn.
And then typically you have to run through a different way than what I'm going right now. I do a grenade jump to get out of there. This puts me to where I need to be in a little bit. So right now I have to backtrack through this area a little bit, hit a trigger. Right there I just jumped to hit the trigger in the air. That trigger should not exist, and we have no clue why it does. Typically you have to run for another about 10 to 15 seconds to hit the trigger, but if you jump in this very particular spot, there's like this 5 pixel wide gap where you can just hit the trigger for some reason, and you don't have to run all the way through the area.
We have some mods that people in the community have developed that like show where actual triggers are, and it's just a sphere that's floating in that area, and we don't know why. That setup there you can use to hit that. It saves, I want to say, like 15 seconds of running to get all the way over there. And then the other interesting part about this, the grenade jump he did to get up here past that conveyor belt, is one that's always interested me. It seems like every single person who runs this game has a different setup for it.
Yeah.
Unjust throws it in a specific area so it careens to get to where he needs to be. Other people throw it upwards so it careens to where it needs to be. Some people just throw it downwards in a specific way so it hits certain terrain to soften the bounce. It's one that's interesting to look at whenever you watch more and more runs.
I'm really sad there's no elevator music in this elevator. It really needs it.
Now's the time to sing.
I don't think anyone wants that.
No. Darn, time's over. We missed our chance.
Darn.
So this is another part where spawn locking can actually go really poorly, because we need certain buzzers to start spawning so that we can kill them and take them out, but we're spawn locked by the normal enemies on the ground. Unjust is going to try and do the same thing he did with Bloodwing, whenever Bloodwing spawned, and just constantly jump and spam his jump keys so that the buzzards get locked in place, which makes it easier to kill them. It's a little difficult because you have to track down which area they spawn out of, but Unjust did a good job of tracking them down once he gets to the last one.
Oh, this last one's being a pain.
There we are. That still went really well. Trying to track down where they spawn and kill them efficiently is it's not an easy task. So it's where you can lose a bit.
You can get like all of them to spawn on like one side if you get lucky enough, but fortunately I got them all over the area.
And then we're just gonna, we took an elevator up, but there's no fall damage in this game, so we can just jump from the very top of that area. There's actually, after the quest finishes, Brick has a funny line. Like, did you just jump off the buzzer's nest? Like, super proud of us, but we're too fast, so we don't hear that, which is kind of sad to be.
In all quests, you get to hear it, which is why all quests is superior. That's because you have to hit their one line. No other reasons. So we can just travel out after in the area. And take a little detour to pick up the bounty board here, just to get more quest swaps. Get some dialogue later. Now we're on to the Arid Nexus. Again, coming up on this map, there's another section where there's a lot of enemies in a very tight space. So again, it's very hectic, and very nerve-wracking.
But luckily, it's just that one area rather than the majority of the map.
Yeah. This one isn't as bad, typically.
I think you were in the air whenever you did that. That was weird.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. I was like, is it broken or?
Yeah, I think you were in the air whenever you hit it somehow. And since you were in the area, it didn't put you in the menu, but it activated the button.
That makes sense.
Really weird. Anyway, here's our Nexus. In terms of like differences between solo and co-op that I saw some people asking about, this is a part where co-op is incredibly fast because there's 3 different things we have to hit, and the fastest character has 3 different characters, and we can just all do it at once. So it's one of the fun parts of the co-op runs, aside from just the crazy glitches that you can do in co-op. It's just the division of labor that you can do.
One thing you'll see me doing in this area is I'll destroy my car right after I get out of it. I have a skill that whenever I get a kill, I will gain movement speed for a short time, and destroying a car counts as getting a kill. So I just destroy my car to give me a little bit of movement speed.
Putting a new definition into road rage. So this is the area that has a lot of enemies, really tight corridor.
That's bad.
Actually, how you end up doing in this area also kind of affects the area next to it. So it's not too bad here. So we were talking about how detrimental deaths can be. This is actually going to be the one exception. Deaths are really bad if you see the dying animation. So since Unjust just got put directly into that blue tunnel, he did it in a specific way to be downed while he died. As weird as it sounds. Because he skipped that falling over and dying animation, he still kept all of his anarchy. You don't lose your anarchy until you have that falling down, so he still has 139 anarchy, and it just gets us out of that area much safer and much faster. At the same time, we don't have to ride the elevator up, we don't have to go through the enemies again. It saves a lot of time to do it this way while still preserving that anarchy, and actually is a little bit of RNG, because you need the enemies to down you at that point, and the enemies tend to only down you whenever you're trying to complete the objective, and not once it actually completes. So
yeah, once you need them to down you, that's when they stop.
The fun driving there to hit the pump while also going past it. There's a grenade jump that he's going to do that instead of going all the way through the pipe like you're supposed to, just takes you right to the next area. Just need a little bit of height to get onto that part of the rock that you can just go straight to the chapel. And then we were in Arid Nexus Badlands, which is another one of the other callbacks to the Borderlands 1, the starting area. In Borderlands 1, that's now destroyed by Hyperion. But it has all the fun landmarks in the area. And Unjust is going to try and get as many kills as he can without losing too much time, so that he can proc his movement speed skill. Oh, do you not kill the... Okay, you do. There's this skeg that spawns that is level 1 for some reason. Or level 0, it's really odd that it spawns right there. But it spawns every single time guaranteed, and you can kill it with just a single bullet ricocheted. So this is Saturn. He's a very difficult boss because he has no crit spots, and most of our damage right now is crit damage. But luckily with specific manipulation, we can run a certain way so he jumps down from this bridge. And then we can let out Death Trap as Death Fodder. He focuses on Death Trap and just stays down there, so we can just run past him. So, really difficult enemy that if we didn't have this would be a tough part of the run.
And we do a little grenade jump at the start of this area. Doing that grenade jump actually means we can hit this console quickly enough to such that Jack's on a dialogue right now. We'll skip the line dialogue that's supposed to play at the end of the map. But doing that grenade jump, just aside from being a more direct line, they'll proc a dialogue skip. What did I... Okay.
Interesting.
I just got pushed by,
you got bullied.
That could have been bad if I didn't have any skag left at the start here to get a second wind off of, but
yeah.
Fortunately we're alright.
Just kind of goes to show you how the strong enemies in this game will obliterate us at this point, since we're 10 levels under level at this point. We have a lot of damage reduction that we have to deal with, and just enemies being stronger than us.
They're very good level 19 amps and 17. Huh?
This is the final fight of
I didn't see what the damage was.
Like 100.
Do it now.
Yeah, that's not great. I mean, you know, shield parts put in me.
So now we're on to the last mission of the game. And, again, we need Claptrap to open a door for us, like we did for Bunker.
It takes a little bit longer, though.
So we got one final stack of buck up. And we're on to kill the final boss. Well, not quite, but almost.
You feel that?
We're getting there.
Electricity in the air when you're just aching to murder someone. You haven't felt that in such a long time.
Yeah, you have a friend.
You do what you have to stop him from waking that warrior.
You have a friend?
Taking me out. Better dead than a damn.
This is it.
So, if you missed the waiting for Claptrap early on in the run, and we're back at it, waiting for Claptrap more.
Welcome full circle.
Yeah.
You hear me?
It just takes a sweet time.
Yeah, he just kind of stands there. In most other, I think every other category, it's faster to just save quit as soon as you talk to him, because it's faster to make the drive all the way over here than it is to wait for him.
Yeah, it's faster to drive like halfway across the map to wait for Claptrap to walk 15 feet. Yeah, there are reasons why I don't like Claptrap.
It's fun. Play more too. It's speedrun 2 PS4.
That probably won't help.
Claptrap is the fastest character to speedrun with in the pre-sequel, so it either strengthens the love for Claptrap or deepens the hate for him. There is no in between.
Yeah. So there's just this one last doorway fight for the last little area, and it's pretty much just waiting for spawns. There's dialogue that Claptrap has. None of it actually matters. It's all timer/animation based. So we basically just get to wait around for spawns to happen.
It's a vault symbol you can grab.
Hey, grab the vault symbol. Turn this into an all vault symbols run.
Yep.
Dispatching additional troops.
There's just these little symbols you can find around the game, and you get a little challenge associated with it. There's one kind of meme-ish category we have where you go find them all. Basically just an 80% run with a bit more pizzazz to it.
So there's about 3 waves that happen throughout here. They get progressively more difficult. More enemies spawning, more difficult enemies.
Activating additional door defenses. Turrets.
So we just got through the first one. These turrets have shields in front of them to protect him, but you can just kind of walk into the shield and kill the turret through the shield. The turrets do a ton of damage. We're using Jacob's weapons, which are non-elemental, but the game has an elemental weapon system where certain elements are better against certain types of health bars. And the turrets do shock damage, which is really good against shields, and that's most of our health, so they can really demolish you. So getting rid of one of them just helps our survivability a ton throughout this.
What is this guy doing over here?
He's just chilling. So we did a little bit in that last wave, but he's going to do it a little bit more. He's going to kill the enemies in a very specific way, or I guess a better way is wound the enemies in a very specific way. There are going to be some badass surveyors that spawn. So those guys right there are really difficult to kill. They don't have crit spots, they're flying around. They're badasses, so they have very high health. So the best way to kill them is to actually wound certain enemies so that they sit still and repair the enemies, which you just did right there, to get that badass surveyor really quickly. The fun part about these guys is they don't like every enemy that spawns. Any of the enemies that spawn right in front of the door, they'll just ignore if they're low health. They don't want to kill any of those, so he has to kill either the enemies that spawn on the side or the enemy that comes out of the door. if he wants the surveyor to actually sit and repair. It's really odd, but one way that you can speed up some of the killing.
And then after the wave fight, I'm just going to do this little out of bounds here to get behind the door. So that whole wave fight was to protect Claptrap so we can open this door, but we can just get around it anyway. So basically there's 2 instances in the game. Claptrap needs to open a door for you, and both the times you can just get around the door anyway without him.
Yeah, it's a really odd thing about, I don't want to say odd, Gearbox is very, very solid at coding their story quests. They are rock solid in in the quest progression system, so it's nigh impossible in the series to do really massive sequence breaks that you see in some other games. I think in every Borderlands game, you have to do every single quest in the story, just because they program the progression really, really well. So even though we can get around them, we still have to complete the quest of Claptrap opening the door. It's a little unfortunate.
So now we're in Heroes Pass, and this is where good runs go to die, basically. You get one-shot by effectively everything in this map. And so basically, you just kind of cross your fingers the whole time and run and pray. There's a lot of points throughout the map where you're supposed to, there's a barrier right there that you're supposed to do a little wave fight next to, wait for it to be opened by the NPCs. But we can get rid of, or get around all of those by doing some grenade jumps and nifty movement.
Yeah. Ironically, I just got done praising Gearbox for having a really solid story progression. But this area doesn't have any of the triggers throughout to actually destroy any of these doors. We just have to get to the end as fast as possible. So, do a whole bunch of grenade jumps to get around all the. Essentially, Hyperion's really bad at making doors. I think
that's the main thesis of this. That's really bad. That's a really tough corner, because as soon as you pop your head, there are a bunch of snipers out there to give you instantly a second wind. Thankfully, I have a punk class mod that buffs my fire rate, which has been really nice throughout this end game.
Yeah, we don't class mods can help. There's only 2 that really do anything. A punk, which increases fire rate, and then an anarchist that increases damage. They're not make or break for the run like the Lad Off and the Shotgun are. But if we get one, we'll use it.
Yeah, it's just a little nice to have.
Yeah, there's some safe routes that we can take through here if we want to just be extra careful. Or we can just run right into the enemies that are going to one-shot us to save some time. Those are really clean Heroes Pass.
That was not bad, yeah. And now we're in the last map of the game.
Final boss coming up.
You're a plague, bandit. You and your kind have corrupted Pandora with your greed.
So in this area, there's typically you're supposed to run through and then ride an elevator down. That takes quite a long time. So I'm going to take a little detour here and do a little short out of bounds with a couple grenade jumps just to skip all that. This is perhaps some of the scariest, scarier grenade jumps, because it comes right at the end of the run, and you're on the edge of this big lava cliff, right? And so it's just one wrong move and you're fall to your death at the end of a speed run.
And it's using terrain that you shouldn't be able to use the way that we're using. It doesn't look like you should be able to stand on some of this stuff. It doesn't look like you should be able to throw grenades in this place to actually boost you. It's definitely easy to just be on a really good pace and lose a run because you missed that jump. And he's trying to kill one other act to get his movement speed, so he can get here faster.
Now we finally get to meet Jack face to face, the main antagonist of the game.
Hey, you're right on.
All this build-up of him being such a terrifying and strong-arm dictator.
I'm gonna avenge
and
he
kind of gets destroyed really quickly.
A little bit. Yeah, he's a boss in sarcastic quotations. But all that is just kind of like a preemptive build up to this the actual final boss of the run, called the Warrior. Now this fight is like very weird in runs. It's either you can either one cycle the boss and have really quick kills, or it can be terrible and you can lose like a minute or so on this fight depending on your gear you have.
It's
also
really difficult to kill in one cycle.
Yeah, you need incredible RNG, and I've played. You need to not die throughout any of the end game, and yeah, it's quite hard. Especially if you died. If you died at any point in the in game, you'll have lost all your anarchy stacks, or at least most of them. And then you'll have just incredibly reduced damage for this fight.
With already reduced damage since we're 12 levels lower. It's a really good first cycle.
It's not bad for a 14 with a shotgun.
There's a formula for how much damage reduction is actually being done based on the level you are and the level the enemy is. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we're doing massively reduced damage, which is why all these glitches are super important and they gauge far faster than any of the characters. So the warrior can land in it. Oh, that's unfortunate. The warrior can pop up in any one of 3 or 4 different places. And has a weird mechanic where if you would have killed... You're trying to do as much damage to the warrior to get it into its death cycle. And then from that death cycle, you can actually finish its health and kill it. But if he got it into that death cycle where it was in the previous section, it'd actually take longer to get into that death cycle because he's already in the location he's supposed to be. So actually missing that cycle where he was before and waiting until he was in a different area actually saved time. Just really weird mechanics, but with that, the warrior's dead.
Final boss. Oh, there's one last quest skip. Just skipped a tiny little bit of dialogue at the end here. And time's coming up in about 20 seconds. So yeah, with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone watching. Thank you to ZZ for helping with commentary. And thank you to Tippy for reaching out and asking me to do this run. I really appreciate it.
For sure. It was great.
Yeah, it's been a really fun time doing this run and showcasing BL2. And with that, we have time. We are.
GG.
A little difficulty.
Yeah,
it's such a fun run.
It really is. This game has a lot of cool speed tech and just a lot of fun stuff in general.
There were a couple of people that expressed interest in the run itself. Like, do you have any advice that you would give for future runners who want to give this game a try?
Yeah, be sure to check out the speedrun.com page. There's a whole bunch of resources on there that'll get you started, like the down patcher and live split setup, everything like that. Also, be sure to join our Discord. There's a link to the Discord on the speedrun.com page. Feel free to pop in there and ask any questions about the game you might have. There'll be a bunch of people who would love to help you out.
Awesome.
And we do have a tutorial.
Thanks again.
It's a long tutorial, but it details everything in depth. The game too.
Yeah,
so.
That's awesome. And I know that some of you will be checking that out for sure. But thanks again so much for being here, Unjust and ZZ. Want to let everyone know that if you did enjoy that run, please make sure you follow Unjust Action as well as ZZ Rolls 21. I'm sure they would love to see you in their chats. But before we break, I just want to say that Games Done Quick Highlights is our YouTube channel that features highlights of our GDQ hotfix shows, and you can use the command !highlights to learn more about those. We are actually going to show off a few during this break, which means we'll be right back with a speedrun of Journey, but don't go away because we will be premiering a brand new time capsule theme song courtesy of our next runner, the amazing and talented Sancho Panda. So we hope you enjoy it, and we will be right back.
Even though we just met on the internet, there's something you should know. Every other Tuesday, GDQ has the most awesome show that picks a year to go back in time and highlight games that shine. If you're looking for a nostalgic stream, it's time capsule time. If you're hungry hungry for some member berries, it's time capsule time. We speedrun and have fun while we reminisce. It's time capsule time. We go fast with a blast from the past. This is time capsule time. Games that remind us what it's like to be a child again. Games that kept us company in tragedy like a loyal friend. Games that shaped us. So let's rewind. The games that blew our mind. If you're looking for a nostalgic stream, it's time capsule time. If you're hungry for some member berries, it's time capsule time. We speedrun and have fun while we reminisce. It's time capsule time. It's the show with the host, smooth operative. It's time capsule time. It's time capsule time. It's time capsule time.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Time Capsule. I hope you've been enjoying the musical stylings of Sancho Panda, but we are all set up for the next run of Journey. So, as I said, please welcome Sancho and Chari B.
Hey guys, I'm Sancho Panda. I'm running Journey today. If the name sounds familiar, it's because I was the commentary for Bucci at her Eco SGDQ run, and then I did commentary for Bucci for Eco for like the 20th anniversary, and then I did commentary for Blink for Eco. And I was like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But then, Smooth, you swooped in and you just looked on your own initiative. You looked through my SRC and you said, hey, we could do Journey. And now I'm back.
You know what?
And you guys can see my face and the illusion is shattered.
I saw your bridal qualities and I was like, yes.
All right. So that's me, commentary person.
Hi, I'm Charybdis. I'm commentating for Sancho. I've also run a lot of Journey, and mostly on PC rather than console. But apart from that, yeah.
Yes.
Right on.
In this category, he has the world record for any type of console. I just have the world record for PS3. So he's got the best time overall. And 5 things before we get started to talk about this category. First of all, this is White Robe. So that means, like, unlike the Red Robe, where after you've used up your scarf and you land, guess what? You're just walking. But if you get if you get the White Robe after finding every single symbol in the game, then if you've run out of scarf, anytime your feet are touching the ground or some kind of groundy surface, you'll get your scarf back. So that's white. Glitchless means we're not going to be doing things like fancy flying, so we're not going to be manipulating the camera to like move faster like that. We'll just be using the camera actually as little as possible. Now, I do have the game connected online, so that means people can try to stream snipe me if they want to. If you have a PS3, hop on, and if you're trying to snipe me and you find somebody else, don't leave them. Don't be a jerk. I'm the only one who can be a jerk tonight because I'm just going to fly right past you. But if you want to try and stream snipe me, the best places to wait are just right at the beginning of Pink Desert, right at the beginning of the War Machine level. Oh, really? Okay. Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you.
Oh, okay. It just decided I'm ugly. All right, let me... what should I do?
You can undo the source and redo it.
Okay, let's see.
Or deactivate, reactivate, rather.
Oh, yeah. Webcam. Here we go. Deactivate. Activate. Are we back?
Let's see. Yep, we are back.
Okay. All right. Nothing to see here. What was I saying? Is it still acting
cool
up?
Stuff. I don't think so.
It wasn't having any problem earlier, so anyways. What was I saying? So the best place is to snipe, and then at the beginning a tower. But please don't mess with anything. Don't activate anything, because that would mess up my run a little bit. Next, if you ever run into somebody in Journey, and they come up to you and do this. Oh, let me see if I can actually do it here. No, I can't do it. Maybe it's the surface. There we go. If they flop on their face, that means they know how to fancy fly, and they want to see if you can flop on your face and do it too. And one last final thing before we get started, because there's the one cool trick we get to do in this version of the game is called the Zen drop. And it's going to happen really fast, so I just want to show you right away what it is. It's when you're going to the menu screen and you jump right as the screen goes to black, this happens. Oh, no, I didn't get it that time. Hold on. Okay, sorry. So I'm still freezing up for some reason?
A little bit.
What a bummer. All right. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just like disconnect and reconnect it.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. You know, sometimes these technical things happen, and just kind of gotta go with it.
I'd rather it be this than something in the run. Hold on one second. Let me figure out which chord this is.
Sure, yeah. It's all part of the journey, everyone. Get it? I'm sorry.
All right. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
Wow, the game just got really loud for me. All right. Everything's fine. Zen drop. So what you do is you jump right before the screen goes to black. I had tripped, so I didn't count. I'll try it one more time. If not, you'll get the idea. But it's like, nope. There we go. So he like folds his feet and he drops faster, and we will be doing that at the end of Sunken City. And besides that, we are ready to go. The timer will start when I say yes to start over, and then we'll start it. But usually when we do this run, we start with 1:20 on the time. So if it looks like the world record, it's probably just because we haven't added the 1:20 to the end. So don't get too hyped if I crush my previous time. All right, Cherub is going to kind of take over as soon as we do this, because things are going to go really fast at the beginning. So is everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for bearing with us through the technical difficulties. And we're going to start the run in 3, 2, 1, go.
So this beginning part,
Awesome, good luck.
This beginning part, Sancho is going to be leaving chapter select, which is kind of a menu of places where you can sort of go to each level. But here we're just going to go to the first level. He'll collect 2 symbols here, which will be useful later on in the run. And
excellent.
Yeah.
Good job. And now we get to our first history lesson. I'm going to put on my PhD hat. I did not study this. I studied something else, but I'm going to pretend I'm qualified. So here's my interpretation of what's happening in this first history lesson that we get, which tells us like kind of what's the story behind this? Why are we doing this journey? So in my interpretation, there's a volcano that exploded and it sent out radioactive ash. And then the radioactive ash mutated some birds who pooped some radioactive poop. And then they caused some radioactive plants to grow. And then some aliens showed up, and they ate the plants, and because they ate the plants, they got scoliosis.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's my interpretation. Is that how you see things, Cherub?
Not really.
Like straight up, no. Sancho, no.
That's my understanding of it.
That's the beauty of Journey.
Yes.
Different for everyone.
It really is. And every journey is different. All right. And so we're just heading on to Broken Bridge. The first part of this game is a lot of watching cutscenes. And actually it's a great chill speedrun to learn because it's about 12 minutes of watching cutscenes and only 24 minutes of running the game.
Well, from what I remember you telling me that you picked up this game initially to avoid some of the stress of your other games that you run.
Yeah, Eco could be really stressful, especially with the RNG shadow skip. So I wanted something that was a lot more reliable.
Exactly.
Yeah, and chill. And this fits both those categories. All right. Commentator friend, do you want to explain what I'm doing here?
So here, usually you would drop down and chirp those massive banners to build a bridge across, hence the name Broken Bridge. But here, we're just flying across without activating anything, making use of the 2 symbols we collected in the first part. It's particularly difficult on PS3 because Sancho has to do some trickery with the jumping mechanics.
All right, did we get them all? If you miss them, you gotta kiss them. That's my rule. Mwah. I got. Okay. That's my rule for this run. It's not good speedrun strat, but it's fun. So it makes fun of when I don't get all of them. That's actually the hardest one, to get all of the popsicle sticks glowing. Oh, we got another history lesson. So now we learn that we look at this guy. You're looking at each other. Is this your dad? Whoever it is, they're older. And we are young. And you know, in 2012 when this game came out, there was a band called Fun that had a song "We Are Young."
I was like just
that was at the
about
top
that.
of the charts.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Okay. So here they're inventing like a sky vacuum to suck up the weeds that had floated into the air. And then they used them to channel these giant turbines. And with these turbines, they were able to create 5G internet towers. Jared, you want to back me up on this one?
It's your own interpretation.
I don't see any other way that could be interpreted. No other way. But I do have a question. And that's, if these are the guys building these things, and they don't have hands, or arms for that matter, how are they building these structures? And the theory I've come up with is that underneath all of these, their capes and stuff, they're actually insectoids. And when they're doing fancy flying and swallowing lots of sand, they then regurgitate it in a clay-like form, and that's how they're able to build the structures.
That's quite a theory. I like it.
Yeah, I don't see any other way it can be interpreted. So here we are at Pink Desert. Do you want to talk about how fun this is?
Yeah, this is walking simulator. You just, it's mostly walking. It's the, I guess it's the second longest level in the entire game after snow. So yeah, it's mostly walking up the dunes. It's not too
walking
much.
up, sliding down, trying your best to walk as little as possible, so getting good flaps and then sliding down hills when you can. Yeah, so since we got this kind of chill part, Jared, do you remember what it was like for you the first time you played this game?
I think I got lost.
That's fair response.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I think even in my first speedrun, I didn't know where I was going. It's quite expansive.
Yeah. This is easily the easiest place to get lost.
I think, like, for me, just my nature of wanting to explore everything kind of ruins this experience, because then I just end up going all along the side of the map where I'm not supposed to be.
This level feels much bigger because there's wind walls at the side, so you can see much further than you can actually go. So it feels a lot more expansive than it actually is.
No, it like tricks you into thinking you can go places you can't.
Yes.
Frustrated me a little.
But I mean, I think that's to your advantage, because the game isn't too long, and so when you've got an exploratory heart to it, I think that helps you enjoy the game more. My first time, I beat it in under 2 hours, and it's because my mind was already thinking like, okay, how do you speedrun this game? And I kind of regret that my first playthrough I wasn't being more thorough. So
that's kind of interesting going into a game like right away with speedrun kind of intentions. I wonder if anyone else has done something like that.
I think, you know, after you get into speedrunning, sometimes it's hard to turn it off with certain games. And this game was like Eco, and I knew I was gonna run it, so it just kind of ruined it a little bit. All right, let's see if it gives me enough of a boost on the first flap. We should be able to skip a lot of stuff right here. No! All right, we'll go on a magic carpet ride instead. I can show you the shining, shimmering. Are you gonna do the Jasmine part, Smooth Operative?
Wait, Jasmine sings? Stop it, hold on, I gotta think about this. Like, I'm actually struggling to remember Jasmine's lyrics.
So am I. All right, moving on. A new history lesson. All right, let's see. So, yes, okay. So this is interesting because, you know, there are layers to this. Obviously, this is a hero's journey of some type, and then also seems to be sort of a telltale of like a fallen society and what caused their fall. And here you start to see the theme begin with after technology, and they're building all these houses where they can stream Netflix with the 5G towers. They're also getting rid of all the plants in doing so. So it's kind of like a deforestation taking place. What movie was in theaters in 2012 at the time that this game was released? Another time capsule trivia here. That was also about deforestation and based on a Dr. Seuss book.
Am I allowed to answer?
Let's see if Smooth Operative can guess,
okay.
Or if chat already has an answer or not.
Can you repeat the question?
I think so. What movie is also about deforestation that was in theaters when this game was released, and it's based on a Dr. Seuss book? I'll give you a hint. It's not How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
To be honest, I probably haven't seen it, but it might be like the Lorax or something.
Correct. It is the Lorax.
I was like, what came out around that time?
It's a really good guess.
There's not too many Dr. Seuss movies to choose from that time period.
No, there aren't. There really aren't. So, there's that. All right, this is our Sunken City level. I tend to sing the Beach Boys song like Surf City, but with Sunken City instead. We're gonna Sunken City, gonna have some fun. Because we're just kind of surfing along.
In case any of you didn't realize, Sancho is a very big fan of the parody.
I can't turn it off.
This is probably the most memorable level in the game.
Oh yeah. And so here we're gonna skip getting some ribbons to be able to climb out of here by just hitting this symbol right away and clearing over this wall. It looks tough, but it's actually quite easy. A lot of the stuff in this is easy. We're about to do one of the few hard tricks, which is trying to get the next symbol in the fastest way possible, and the carpets can kind of mess with you a little sometimes. And also we're jumping here because each time we jump, it gives us a little launch. I think one of the things that makes this level so memorable is it's the first time the soundtrack like really kicks in, you know?
It builds up to the end of the level, definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right, 1, 2, wait for a second, third flap, and no, we're too low. We got it anyways. We lost any time, we would have saved doing it that way, but at least we still got the symbol. And now, I think we should just be quiet and enjoy this part, because this is what I like to call the blood pressure lowering segment of the game. Oh gosh. Smooth Operative, you've run like the counterpart to this basically by doing the blue suit glitchless version of Abzu, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's been a little while since I've run Abzu, but to be honest, I picked up Abzu as a speedrun for kind of a similar reason that you are speedrunning this one, just to kind of unwind from the terror that are Tomb Raider speedruns. Or just speed games in general. It was very stressful at the time, so... but yeah, Journey and Abzu, both really great speedruns, I think.
Is there a moment in that run that you would say is kind of the counterpart to this? Like maybe with the whales? Oh, we're about to do the Zen drop.
Yeah, there is a section of Abzu.
Got it.
Where you're just swimming with the fish and the whales and everything, and it's just a little auto scroller, but you know, you enjoying your life while you're on it.
Good job on the Zen drum.
Thank you. We got a good jump at the end too. It launched us forward faster, and then I missed up the chirp because I was listening to somebody talk instead of focusing. All right,
gosh, questions.
Why was I asking them? All right, so here we are. What's happening now? I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. So now things start to get a little dark. So obviously, going back to the actual interpretation, it looks like the ribbon started to run out because of how foolishly they just pursued technology without taking care of the land. And then they had to there's kind of a resource war that takes place. And then it looks like war started. Although I think another way of looking at this is they all had to go get jobs, and so they all started working for Amazon. And those are like the delivery trucks, and that's the giant warehouse there.
Too real.
Yeah. Like
giant delivery trucks.
Oh my goodness. It broke my heart. So one day there's we just happen to have we have a screen door in our front yard. I'm chasing a real rabbit here, forgive me. But we've got time, right? So we had a screen door and then our regular door, and it was like a hot night or something. So the screen door was closed, but the regular door was open. And all of a sudden I started seeing grocery bag over grocery bag appear in my front yard, in my front door. And I just what is happening? And it took me a little bit to realize, but someone was mistakenly placing a giant order of groceries from Amazon at our house instead of somewhere else. And so I went outside while it was happening, and legit, it was like a single mom with her toddler in the car, trying to, just earn some money by delivering these groceries to the wrong address. So I came out and I helped her load them back into her car, and but that just made me really sad.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing the deliveries these days.
Mm-hmm. So, shout outs to everybody who's got it tough, and you're doing what you can to make it work. All right, I always miss getting any ribbons with that chirp. All right, we got a few here. So we're just making our way through the war machine level. And I just say, war machine, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Do I ask you to say it again? That was my cue.
You're catching on. I couldn't remember what Jasmine says, but... All right, and this cute little carpet is about to meet his end at a jump scare coming up. And our goal is to be just as far ahead of him as possible so that we might be able to skip over a war machine spotlight that would pass in front of us coming up. So he's behind us. He's just kind of enjoying his best life right now, piddling around. And the camera's moving to show us him getting chomped.
I think it is possible to save him.
It is?
Yeah.
By letting it eat you instead?
No, if you skip some of the triggers.
Oh. Okay. I didn't actually know that. I'm rolling a lot. Let's see. I have my doubts that we're gonna make it before the... Okay, he's not coming. Phew, that was close. It felt to me like it was close. All right, so normally he passes by right there and you have to wait for him to pass by and then go under. But we just got to skip that little war machine cutscene event. Now we're just floating along again. Trying to think of other fun 2012 facts as we do this. Let's see. So we're getting all these history lessons, right? Did you know, related to history lessons, the same day that Journey was released, Encyclopedia Britannica, made the announcement that they would no longer publish their materials in a physical form.
Wow. That's a journey for Britannica encyclopedias, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that, so fun facts with Sancho.
Yeah, I was sharing it to my wife. She was like, wait, they stopped? I didn't even know that. Wikipedia kind of, makes it really...
Yeah, Wikipedia really took off.
So I think they saw the writing in the pink desert sand. All right, we got another history lesson. How's everybody doing in chat? Sorry if I bummed you out with the real life thing. That story just hits me. All right, so obviously...
Well, I like to think that everyone's doing okay if they're hanging out with us. We appreciate you being here.
All right, so let's try and make... so everyone's taking a nice nap. Got to make sure you get your rest after working really hard. So, they're having some me time. Just kind of chilling out there. And this is where, if you're watching, I remember watching this the first time, none of this made sense to me. That's what I remember about it. And now we're actually getting to us first appearing in the game. It's showing us showing up. And so it kind of gets out of chronological order instead of showing us what's coming next there. Charb, how are you doing? It's like, what, 7 a.m. where you are and you haven't slept yet?
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Is it way past your bedtime?
Nah, I've had some sleep. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I always feel like nervous for my European friends, like, because I'm always wondering, are you okay? Are you drinking water? Are you getting enough sleep? So we appreciate you commentating for this.
He said at some point his dog may wake up and start barking, needing some food. So that'll, if he goes mute, if we ask him to say something or give us a comment, he doesn't. All right, Tower, Cherub, I just called you Tower. Do you want to tell us why this is like one of your favorite segments?
Yeah, Tower is possibly the level that has changed the most. It has so many different routes you can take, and every runner has their own way of doing it. Most routes are pretty much the same, but yeah, we skip a lot of how you're supposed to play the game doing this. I think you're supposed to activate these sort of fog levels. You'll see Sancho activate a couple of them, but you're supposed to activate...
We have a sniper! Hi! Hello! Okay, see you, bye. Sorry, I got really excited. Continue. I think they're fancy flying too. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sancho will activate these levels, which is what you're supposed to do. But we've skipped half of them because they're long and boring. You disconnected from the person.
Probably because we activated the next part, like one ahead of him. Or her. All right, the boring way to do this is to just climb up the side right there, but instead we're going to do an older trick called the elevator trick, which is a lot more fun. I'm not going to try and make it up to that ledge on my first try. You can do it with PS4. With PS3, it's really hard because he doesn't get as high with each flap. All right, and now we're doing what's called the elevator strat. This is a lot of fun. So for some reason, triggering that one gets this one to rise. And we just get to go up with it. Going up.
I think all of them rise up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Dropping the knowledge. Things I don't know about this game.
I've spent a lot of time in this level.
Gosh. Scared myself. I don't know why. I was doing a weird camera angle and suddenly I didn't think I was going to make it. All right, ribbons. Let's get to the fun part.
I thought this section was really cool. I just love to see these like bridges.
Yeah. Okay. Back to our history lesson. So there are different layers to interpretation. There's the hero's journey, there's the fall of a civilization, there's the message of environmentalism and deforestation. But I think another layer, even behind all of that, is this is really the story of like a millennial who's being kicked out of home by their boomer parents because they yeah, what do you think? Because they stayed at home, didn't have a job, so they're like, all right, you gotta get out, you gotta get out there, you gotta learn like I did, you gotta go to the school of hard knocks. So look, that's you, I'm so proud of you. You built your own bridges, you made your own connections, you were networking, you were making it happen, you were part of like the budding technology, and you had your ups and downs. Sometimes you were up, sometimes you were down. You had those dark moments, but you made it through because you were strong. And then you made it back up to here, and so now, my child, I've decided I'm gonna help you out. You can't come move back in with me, but if you want to, I'm willing to pay for your tuition and books to go to community college. Yay! At which Pates, he's like, how come that one's red and I'm white? And there's just an awkward silence, and then the dad says, enjoy community college, my son. By the way, you're adopted. And he leaves.
A history lesson does change if you meet people in the game. You'll see.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Good point. Give something relevant for change, please save us.
If you meet someone in a level, they'll appear in that cutscene. There's sort of a friend you made along the way, companion.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I like that.
But sadly, the robe color doesn't change though, if you're white or red.
Yeah, that's interesting. But that's okay.
Maybe one of you could explain the differences between the red and the white robe for the speedrun.
Yeah, I guess that kind of happened while my camera was cutting it out. Cherub, you want to explain this skip first and then answer her question?
Okay. So this...
And then do everything else I'd command of you?
This skip is probably the hardest skip in the game, but also one of the most fun because it skips a really boring section where you're just fighting the wind. So here we're scaling the side of a mountain, just barely staying in bounds. If you did want to explore out of bounds, there's a sort of a gap in the terrain you can slip through. Yeah, the out of bounds community there's a lot of people who like going out of bounds. Very easy to go out of bounds as well.
We skipped about 3 minutes of the game right there.
That's a good chunk.
Yeah, it's the biggest skip in the game. And it's part of the reason why, like, when I first started playing on PS3, a little over a year ago maybe now, there were only 2 runs for the PS3 version, and they were 8 years and 9 years ago. And neither of them used that skip, so I quickly took the world record. And there have been other runs since then, and I have put together a tutorial on my YouTube channel, Sancho Panda BTW, for how to run this game, if anyone wants to give it a try. It's really, really easy to get under an hour, and then just throw your run up on the leaderboard if you want to. Now we're just hopping. I think now's a good time to talk a little bit about the soundtrack. So the soundtrack is really memorable. It's written by Austin Wintory. It was sort of like it's like put him on the map, so to speak. And one of the reasons it did so was because it became the first video game to have a soundtrack as a nominee for a Grammy.
Oh, wow.
And it was like for best original score, I think, for like something medium. I can't remember what it's called. I don't have it up right now to say what it's called. But if you want to know like some of the people he was up against, Hans Zimmer, John Williams. I mean, it was like all the big names. It was bananas.
That's pretty cool.
I'm forgetting another. There's another like really well-known one, and I'm drawing a blank on who he is. I'll look it up in a little bit. But like, there's just bananas that, here's this video game that came out of nowhere that, by some standards, was an independent game, and he just crushed it with the music for this, and it was like recognized, in other circles for being great music.
Love to see that.
I think every now and again they still go back to the YouTube comments and likes the comments that people leave.
Yeah.
Aww.
And for the 10th anniversary, he went to the London Symphony Orchestra and redid the entire soundtrack, and that's on YouTube, and that is really, really cool to see. So it's interesting. It's interesting because, like, for me, when I first played the game, I didn't have the same type of memorable experience that, that some other people did playing it for the first time. But what I did have was listening to that soundtrack, and for some reason, because it had some twists and turns to it, like he made it for the orchestra, so there are a lot of changes. Like there are parts of this of the music where it's just like pads. Here we're just going to try and avoid our scarf getting blown away if we can. We'll see how it goes. Nope, we're not going to make it. No! Oh, we didn't get that thing either. All right, we lost a little bit of scarf. That hurts the speed run, but that doesn't hurt our feelings. We're fine. So we'll just wait right here now for the next part. Also, I don't have the sound in my ear, so I can't tell when I'm supposed to start again. This may be a lot of folly. Oh, that'll work.
I don't think we explained the robe differences.
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So red robe is what you start out in. It's sort of the beginner's robe, where you sort of can't charge your scarf. You have to charge with flyers and carpets. You can't charge on the ground. Whereas white robe, you collect all of these symbols, which we've been collecting throughout the game, which extend your scarf. If you collect them all, you can activate white robe, which means you can sort of charge on the ground. It makes fancy flying and flying out of bounds really easy. But people still do it on red robe, and those people are crazy good at flying.
I just went a really long way without getting any wind gusts, and I'm really jealous that this didn't happen like in a PB. Because the wind really slows you down here, and it's being super nice for some reason. But there's total RNG to it.
Yes, I think this is the only RNG part of the run. Everything else is predetermined.
Yeah. What were we talking about before? Oh, so anyways, I was listening to the soundtrack, and it was like experiencing the game for the first time, because there was new music added for sections where there are just usually keypads. There were parts where I expected the music to do something and it did something different. And as I'm listening to the music and I'm reading, like, he annotates the entire video talking about his experience making the original score and all the changes he made for it to be done with the London Symphony Orchestra. And I started tearing up listening to it. It was like taking the whole journey again, but this time I didn't know what to expect, and it was such an unexpected blessing to have him do that for all of us.
That's really incredible.
So now, I mean, this is obviously your first time playing. This is a very emotional moment, especially if you're lucky enough to meet somebody that first time through, and you've trudged through the snow together. And there's a really nice thing that happens, which is no matter who had a longer scarf, your scarf is gone now. And no matter how many times you've run the game, and so it's increased your trim, you can't really see that. You're just like two people huddled together in the snow together, watching a giant war machine in the background.
I think there's multiple war machines.
Oh, yeah, there's at least two of them, right? Because they follow us through this next part.
The vortex.
So
squinting, trying to see them.
You can keep walking for this, but you don't have to. So instead, I'm just kind of standing here and doing like the Michael Bay turnaround music. You know, dun 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 dun. When you're like waiting for a PB, this part gets really, really hard. You're just like, fall already. And you hit the timer right when his face flops. So no, this isn't the end of the run. Don't get me confused.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that was
don't
very
hit.
quick.
No. We still have Paradise. So we still got Paradise coming up. But first we got one more history lesson. And so, well, this one isn't really a history lesson. Cherub, you go first.
My thoughts on the history lesson.
On this part, what's happening here?
Sort of the ancestors are surrounding you, and bestow power, great power upon you, and you transcend to the heavens. What's your take?
I see this, and all I can think of is Anakin in front of the Jedi Council, and they're like, "You can be on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master." Except here, this guy, he does get master. So, there's some debate. Like, does this part actually happen, or is this just purely spiritual, or was he actually, resuscitated? Who's to say?
Maybe it's just like a vision. It's like getting the character pumped up for the next bit.
Yeah. So the music here is amazing, and I think it's what the game is best known for musically by this part. We're gonna do another little skip where we like get some little, what does Nichiro call them? Carpetinos. The little tiny carpets to kind of help us over a cliff so we don't have to do a sliding section.
I actually forgot the sliding section existed.
Really?
I've skipped it so much.
It's a shame too, because like some of these skips, we're missing some really great, brilliant moments in the score that happen by hitting certain triggers. So we are losing a little bit of the musical genius of the game. But yeah, there was a big sliding section we just skipped over, and this was probably the first skip found in the glitch list. Like they were doing this in the earliest of runs.
I think it was in run 9 years ago that someone did this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Or even 10 or 9.5. Like it was back in 2012. People were already doing this.
I wasn't around then, so I don't really know.
I just, did some research of it because I was like, whenever I want to learn a run, it's really fun to just kind of go through and see the progression. So we are really close to the end here, but there's going to be a little bit of anticlimactic, well, for a speed run, but really climactic if it was your first time going through this game, which is the final walk here after we pass through this gate. I hope everyone's had a nice chill time with us, because that's kind of the point with this game, and with a lot of journey runners, like it's a great cure for insomnia. If you're trying to go to sleep, you don't know what to do, just hop on a journey stream. Everyone in the community as a whole, as well as the speedrun community, is super nice. Oh, I was gonna try and do the slide thing. It's too late. Ah. You can slide down that little thing there. It doesn't save you any time, but it's just something to do. All right, Cherub, what is your visual marker for when we've still got only 1 minute of walking left to do?
It's like a rock on the left.
All right, we got a rock somewhere. Is that it coming up? Is it that rock?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we got a minute left. Here's some other cool things from 2012. Hunger Games was out also when this movie came. Let's see, I've got some other fun facts here. Let's see if I can find them.
Oh my god, you have the game. Nice.
Let's see. Where did I put my fun facts? They're in my channel somewhere. So the most popular baby names on the day that this game came out are Sophia and Jacob. Does anyone want to guess why Jacob was one of the most popular boy names at that time? And Breaking Dawn was in parts 1 and 2 were in theaters in 2011 and 2012. This blew my mind. The first Avengers movie came out. I feel like it was longer than 10 years ago.
That is actually kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then one that I'm mentioning it just because The Hobbit, the first of that terrible trilogy, came out. I'm still more of a fan of the original cartoon version. Oh, times ends now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's time, everybody, apparently. But it's okay, Hobbit, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's more important. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got rebooted in 2012 as well. Although this is a character that I owned back in the 90s when I bought the originals. All right, so before we go, since I do like doing parody songs, I have prepared a parody song to end this journey.
It's a classic Sancho moment you're about to witness.
And it's very situational. It's specifically, I'm a white robe doing a glitchless run or a run of some sort, and I pass by a red robe who needs some help, and I don't help them. And it's called Ready, Sorry, Not Sorry. So if you guys could let me know when the gorgeous score is removed from the atrocity that I'm about to inflict upon you all. Okay, I'm gonna give it a go. So I made this is very different from, I'm usually like ukulele folksy. This is very different from any of that. I'm going to use my GarageBand on my phone real quick to make a bass loop. Hold on, let me see. That is not the song. That is not where I was, hold on a second. Where is it? Here we go. I think this is it. I gotta just find the right key real quick. I'm gonna lay this down for you. It's just 4 measures, don't worry. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Bum, bum, bum. I can do this. All right, and I also gotta add some hi-hats. Okay, ready? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, now let me just, since my voice is not very bassy, let me just turn up the bass on this a lot.
Just real quick.
All right, I'm so comfortable with the uke. This is so different for me. I'm more nervous right now than I was doing the run. All right, let me make sure I press play instead of record. Can you hear that okay?
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay. See, I'm out here looking like a pro. I'm on my way to snow. I'm nailing it for show. So many gold splits that I might be a leprechaun. Rainbow at the end. Now you're out here looking like you're dead. The war machine's all red, went scoffing down your threads, and now you lost hope. And so it seems to me as if you could use a friend. You're laying in the sand, I'm not lending you a hand. Now stop messing with my camera. Can't have this, can't have this. Oh, it would be nice if I could be a good Samaritan, but no. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I got a jet, gotta get a PB, but there are other jellyfish in the sea. So ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I gotta go, gotta think of myself. Just wait around for somebody else. See, you're out there looking lost in tower. You're like a fragile flower that's in its final hour. I don't have the time to help you find the flow trophy or the hidden shrine. See, you're out here trudging through the snow. Still got a ways to go. Your scarf is frozen cold, but if I miss this, skip right here. It will add 3 minutes to my time. I can't lend you a hand, cause guess what? I don't have hands, so stop messing with my camera. Can't have this, can't have this. Oh, it would be nice if I could snuggle up and warm ya, but no. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I know a buddy right now would be nice. Some company before paradise. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Ready, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Best I could do is give a sympathy chirp. I won't blame you if you think I'm a jerk. I can't stop, ready. Even if you face flop, ready. Don't you know I can't stop, ready. Even if you face flop, ready. All right.
Woo! Clap, 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 clap.
Yay!
Thank you for the sympathy chirp. Song.
You're welcome.
It was fantastic. I hope everyone enjoyed. Always a pleasure having you here, Sancho, for the music.
Thanks, and you'll have something to remember us by with the parody song of Time Capsule Time. So
yeah, so if you want to check any of that out, make sure you visit the highlights channel on our YouTube. That's !highlights in the chat if you want to find it later. But yeah, thanks very much for being here, Sancho and Charybdis. Do you have any, I don't know, shout outs, final words for amazing viewers?
Shout outs to the guy who sniped us, either intentionally or unintentionally. So, Ginkso,
shout out.
Good job. Good job. That made my day. That's definitely part of Journey, is meeting people along the way. And you'll see many speedrunners mid-run pass somebody and then just stop the run and hang out instead. It's very, very common. So what I was singing is like the antithesis of what the community is really like. But yeah, I'm Sancho Panda. Fun. You can find me on Sancho Panda on Twitch, Sancho Panda VTW on YouTube. And again, I said there's a tutorial for this run. It's a great way to get into speedrunning if you're wondering, like, what's a chill run to learn for my very first run. And the community is super, super helpful. They're helping me learn Glitched now. So it's awesome. Cherub, thank you so much for still hanging with us, even though you've been up for who knows how long now. Are you awake still?
Yeah.
Can you use words?
Did you make it? All right. Well, y'all, it's been a pleasure. If you enjoyed that run, please make sure you follow Sancho Panda here on Twitch, as well as Charybdis too on Twitch as well. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for Time Capsule. We appreciate you spending time with us. I've been your host, Smooth Operative. Just want to say that you can join us again tomorrow for the Bargain Bin, followed by Speedruns from the Crypt, and that all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. We hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.